Start streaming, okay? All right, there we go. And already I've screwed this up somehow. Are we? There we go. What the hell happened? What the hell happened? All right. Is the stream on? Oops. Hold on. All right. Things seem fine here. Oh, I got this should be like this. Okay. I got the wrong windows. All right, this is the window I want to shrink. And this is the window I want here. Hello. Hello, everyone. JC is here. Static. All right. Sorry about that. Sorry. Just sort of flying in here. What the hell am I doing? Okay. Hi, JC. JC. Welcome to the live stream. And I noted that you have many videos out this week for your many cool comics. So feel free to plug them in the chat. And let me see if I can make you a admin. Ah, shoot. That's a different window, isn't it? Okay. Yeah. All right. But, just put it in there in such a way that people can figure it out. Or just, tell us what to Google. Because your comics are, you have evil comics, right? Isn't that the name of one of them? The evil comics? I know I read Pissant Apocalypse. That was good. JC, yes, would you like a PDF of the book I'm funding like I gave you last year? That would be wonderful. I would be happy to read it and say some cool stuff about it. I'm not sure when I will get to it because, man, the week I had. Let me tell you just briefly about my week while you gather some info. First, what did I do? Well, Monday I had off. Tuesday I went to Linwood, New Jersey for a senior center event. Then Wednesday I went to Atlantic City to the Richmond branch. I did a talk there. Then Thursday I went to Franklin Township, New Jersey. The place that a few months ago I confused with a different Franklin Township, and I drove an hour and a half out of my way. But this place was really close, thankfully. And then Friday I was at the Di Matteo Winery, did a talk there. And Saturday was the big event, the Collingswood Book Festival. And that went very well. And Amazon came through in the clutch on Friday. I got books, and I desperately needed them for Collingswood Book Festival because that's a big show right in the middle of Collingswood. If you haven't been to Collingswood, it's probably one of the most hipster towns in South Jersey now. The main drag has all these very frou-frou restaurants. Some of them are very good. I went to a breakfast place. It was called, I believe it was Haddon Culinary? Is that what it was called? I don't know. They had this breakfast sandwich, and what they made it with was scrapple that they had made with cheesesteak and put cheese on it and an egg. It was delicious. JC says, yeah, I'm crowdfunding Evil right now. Met our goal already. Oh, good. Trying to get our stretch goal. When we reach that, I unlock a new adaptation of Philip K. Dick's story I adapted into a little comic. Ooh, neat. I love Philip K. Dick. Oh, he's one of my faves. Can you tell us the story? The name of the Philip K. Dick story? I'm not sure, I'll recognize the title. Philip's titles were tough to remember. Like, I always remember Screamers, but I don't remember the title of the actual story it's based on. Like, Screamers is the name of the Peter Weller movie that they named it based on one of his stories. It's not it's not the worst movie in the world, but the original ending to the story is just, I mean, it's nightmarish. It's pretty cool. JC, Electric Ant. I'll send you a PDF of that too. Oh, yeah, thank you. I love Philip K. Dick. Okay. Electric Ant. Which one is that? It's been a while. And what else did I do? Okay, so Collingswood Book Festival. Oh, and then today I was at Lucille's Luncheonette in Warren, New Jersey, which is also delicious. JC, we remember it wholesale was what the story Total Recall was based off of. Yeah, see, that's not a great title. Like, we remember it wholesale. It's kind of too long and cumbersome in my view. What would I have called it? I mean, Total Recall's not a bad title. Doesn't really encapsulate the story, but it kind of gets it. What would I have called Total Recall? We remember it wholesale. Yeah. I don't know. I'm big on titles. I really rack my brain for a title. The title for book 16 in the Pineys, in fact, it took me a little while. But that's coming out this month. I got to finish some editing. The cover is imminent. So all is moving forward with that. It's a busy month, and like this week, tomorrow I got another senior place. Tuesday I'm off, and I'm really looking forward to Tuesday. Then I do one Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday again, and then another Tuesday off. So, whew, it's gonna be crazy. Poor doggy has been so lonely. Doggy's been so lonely. Yes, she has. And she's very happy now. Very happy. But she has kept me up a good portion this week. Right, doggy? Doggy, you gotta let me go to sleep. I mean, you really gotta let me go to sleep. You know what I mean? You know? You should go to sleep. I know you've probably slept all day, but... JC, the original kind of spins off in a different direction than the movie. They never leave Earth, ends with an alien invasion, more of a comedy. I don't know if I've read that one then. Usually his are pretty dark. But I do like the original Total Recall. That's Sharon Stone at her peak. That is peak Sharon Stone. Fantastic. I don't know why they bothered to remake it. I mean, not only is it peak Sharon Stone, it's also peak Schwarzenegger. You got what's the name? Michael Ironsides. He's great in it. Such a great heavy. JC. They start off similar. I mean, there is some really funny moments in Total Recall. I mean, you got the three-breasted prostitute. I mean, just so many great moments in Total Recall. The scene with the nose. Arnold. I think they're trying to pull out the chip or put in the chip. I don't remember. Yeah, that movie. Oh, and then when he's wearing the artificial mask. Oh, hold still, John. You got something in your eye. Let's get that out. There you go. Was that bothering you? I that's better. Ew. Ew, now it's on my finger. Gross. Yeah, so today I literally just made it to the live stream at 7. So I have... Thank God we're not doing Steven Seagal this week. I'd be completely unprepared. I've done no twittering. JC, pull out the tracking device in his brain. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I thought it was out. But man, what a movie. Fun movie. I remember seeing that and just having a blast. It's been a long time since I went to the movies, had that much fun. I mean... Don't get me wrong. I saw Am I Racist? That was pretty fun. But nothing like that. Nothing like that. Easy. All right, Joan's out. Joan's out already. Sure, she's going to be a pain in the neck because I literally just got home. So what are we doing this week? Well, we'll go through the trades because, quite frankly, Have I done any Hollywood woke hot takes this week? I don't even think I did one. I think I did one on Monday. So, yeah, we're way behind on what the hell's happening in Hollywood. So this should be an enlightening Hollywood hot take. What's your email? I'll send it over. Send over the files. You can find it by going to my YouTube channels, and then there's a thing like where you click for contact. I don't want to type it in the chat, but it's right in there. I mean, anybody who hears this could go over and find it, but like there's an extra layer there, and like YouTube has some protection, I guess, from the phishing, because I haven't been fished too much off of that. But yeah. Or you could send it to me however you sent it to me last time. I don't remember. But give me some time on that. Only I don't know if you need a plug or something in the next... Well, maybe I could read it Tuesday. Yeah, so Tuesday I might be able to get to it, or next Tuesday. But that's about the window of time I have. And then, oh man, after the second Tuesday, after the 15th, I am doing like 13 events in a row. Oh no, I'm doing more than that. 15, because 2 of those days are double. No, 3 of those days. So like 18 events in a row. Woo! I gotta get my editing done. All right. No one's here yet except JEC. JEC, no rush. We're still in the first week. It runs all month. Oh, okay, good. Good. Yeah, so I got. Let's just go through the numbers, and hopefully people will just figure out we're on here. The big discussion, of course, all this week in movies is Joker Folie à Deux, debuting at 40 million, which seems pretty low for its initial take and as compared to the first movie. I believe the first movie did over double that. Not rave reviews on this. A lot of the nerds are poo-pooing it, saying that it spits in the face of the fans of the first movie, really sort of just deconstructs all the cool stuff from the first movie and kind of ruins it, and then, girls it all up with Lady Gaga. JC, apparently it's worse than Megalopolis, which is shocking. Yeah, it's tracking about as well as Morbius. It's Joker in time, which is shocking, but not that shocking when you consider. I mean, I knew the moment he announced it as a musical, I was like, and then I remembered the sequels to The Hangover, and I was like, So, one movie pundit suggested that kind of what they did was, they made so much money off the first one and it only cost 50 million. This one cost 200 million. It'll probably at least break even. Probably maybe make a little bit of money. But I kind of doubt it. At 40 million, the international is very high. At 40 million domestic, I mean, next week, let's say it makes half, so you're like 60, so in 2 weeks it'll break even, but in 2 more weeks it'll be basically done. JC, I was trying to be optimistic about it, but it sounds like everyone's worst fears came true. Yep. Same. I watched the Critical Drinkers review, and it's, yeah, it's sounds pretty brutal. JC, it took 20 million to get Todd Phillips back. His heart wasn't in it. Oh, I think his heart was in that 20 million. I mean, I can't blame him for taking the money. Look, Hollywood is like, it's brutal business. You know, you take 20 million, okay, you make a forgettable sequel flop, as he's already done before. But with that kind of money, I mean, you're kind of set, right? You know? Even if he never gets another studio project again, I mean, with that kind of money, you put it in investments. You're living high on the hog, and you could still peel off $1 million to go do a low budget movie on your own. You know, if you're disciplined enough, and the guy's already directed stuff, so you can kind of do what you want. And that's the dream. I think that's the dream of every artist, right? You just get a giant pile of money and you say, okay, yeah, I'm going to sell everybody down the river, but after that, I'll be pure. I think it kind of taints you artistically, though. I really do. But I kind of think Todd, too, is probably just playing the game, you know? And they offered him, and that's what they say. They say, your first hit, especially in Hollywood, you practically have to give it away. And then if it's a hit, the payoff comes in the sequels and in the subsequent deal. And that's why everybody has agents and holds the studio's feet to the fire, and then they go crazy and spend too much money on you. At first, they wouldn't give you a dime. You had to beg for every dime. And then you become a big name, and then it's like, oh my God, here, we'll give you an entire skyscraper if you do this movie. So, I just wish he hadn't done a musical. I think if he had not done a musical, even if he had just done a sequel to The Joker that was almost exactly like the first movie, which was pretty damn good, and it just had Harley Quinn in it, and they were both nuts, and they both committed a bunch of unspeakable crimes, but hallucinated a bunch of other things, I think it could have been okay. You know, my pitch would have been that it would have followed the, you know, the real origin of Harley Quinn, which was the Joker's in Arkham Asylum, and she's the psychiatrist, and he basically seduces her, and she goes crazy, and, you know, snaps and sets him free, and then runs off with him, and they're both totally nuts, and they murder people and rob people, and the Joker really doesn't care about her, but he uses her because she's there. That would have been an amazing movie, by the way. One that the fans of Harley would have went bananas for. Absolutely bananas. In terms of the musical numbers, I mean, maybe you could have had one or two in it, but Jesus, I've seen the clips online, and they are not helping your case, Todd. And the thing is, it does take place kind of in a 70s world, and variety shows were big in the 70s, and I remember seeing them, and I remember being bored as hell. You know, they were just everywhere on TV, and they were all the same, and the music was boring, and yeah, you captured that beautifully, Todd. Maybe if you had, I don't know, done something else with it. I just don't know why. Maybe if you had created one, well, I guess that's kind of it in the movie. They don't really happen. It's all in their minds. But, or maybe you could have teed up, like, Joker to the point at which, you know, we're almost into the era of Batman kind of thing. Like, you can see why the Joker kind of takes over the city. because it's just so dysfunctional and he's just so crazy and evil. JC, I mean, if they had done a decent love story with a couple of musical numbers, it might have been fun. I guess. I mean, I definitely didn't want to see a broken Arthur Fleck. That is something I definitely didn't want to see in a sequel. Kind of already saw that in the beginning, and that seems like a step down. So I think if Harley Quinn had been the psychiatrist, it would have been 50% better, maybe, because then if the Joker got out by the end of the movie, it would have made total sense. Like, the psychiatrist had the security and the keys and let him out. And the city's dysfunctional and they get away and they commit a bunch more crimes, and maybe the city's just falling apart because the Joker's, the events in the first Joker movie. And then that's why Batman eventually emerges. I mean, I know he was not really trying to do a superhero movie, but if he's never going to make another one, why not tee it up? And never say never. Obviously, if you throw enough money at the guy, he'll come back. All right, we threw $20 million at you to do this second Joker movie, and it made $2 billion. Well, now we got to throw even more money at you. What do you want? And he says, "Oh, yeah, you'll never give me $50 million. Here you go." Arden's here. Crap, I'm late. Can't even blame it on the dog. Yeah, sorry, Arden. I just came in and didn't have time to promote or anything. So, JC, yeah, Harley Quinn is his shrink, and it's about the two of them falling in love, and in the end they rile up another mob because they televise his trial. Yeah, and they have a little bit of power rather than this whole, like, they have no power. Initially that works great in the first movie, but then in the second movie you want to kind of see, like, he takes this fame and this evil Joker persona, he takes it to another level. Like, he's finally snapped. Like, he does not give an F, and he really becomes the Joker. Like, he really just wants to see people twist in the wind, including Harley too, but Harley's just as messed up as he is. Ardent, LOL, I have to own up to having been watching Unsubscribe. They had Gary/Neurotic on again. What's going on with that? Is that something I should be watching? I'm a little out of the loop this week, thanks to Joan. Oh yeah, be right back. Just remembered something. Oh, you leave me hanging. But yeah, I mean, the only upside of the Joker Folie Dieu, and that was, the title was a dead giveaway too, that we were in trouble, is that there's definitely not going to be a sequel to this, so it's over. It's over. I can't wait to see the drop off of week 2. Oh, that's going to be something special. What do we bookmark it at? I say next week it's over 60, under 65% negative. I'd be shocked if it hung on at 50% and had legs, but I think it'll drop fairly drastically, probably like 65% at least. I don't think it'll get into the 70s, although it might. The word is not good. Number 2, dropping from number 1. And this movie does have legs, apparently. It's The Wild Robot from Universal. 18.7 million. So this thing, it's in more theaters already. So they're touting this as some sort of great win, 100 million. I haven't seen it. It looked okay, I guess. Oh, it only cost 78 million and it already made 100 million, so it's on its way. possible break even or better. Little more likely than the Joker. Number 3, Beetlejuice from 2 in its 5th week, 10 million. This one's obviously just riding on the coattails of the previous one still, and it's, you know, in defense of the audience, it has been a long time, so. And even something halfway Beetlejuice, and I hear Michael Keaton's great in every scene, but that the movie in a whole, not good. I can wait for streaming on that one if I watch it at all. Number 4, dropping from 3, Transformers 1. A little bum that this movie did as well as it did, 97 million. Because I'm just sort of sick of the Transformers. And, you know, at first I was very excited about a live action movie, and now I'm just like, ah. You know, I was a big fan of the cartoon. So, is 97 million, what is that in terms of the budget, I wonder? 75 million. Okay, so it's over its budget. Probably, again, on its way to breaking even or making some amount of profit. But probably would have made a lot more profit and jam it full of celebrity voices, which I feel are completely unnecessary. For a cartoon, completely unnecessary. Speak No Evil was 5 last week, at 5 this week. Very consistent Speak No Evil. 2.8 million. I'm kind of more interested in seeing the original than this one. I mean, this one looks kind of, I don't know. What's the word I'm looking for? It's sort of cut and paste crazy guy, right? People, you know, the two couples meet, and at first he seems normal, and then they get to know him, and they go to his house, and he's crazy. Like, there's kind of a lot of movies like that, where, you know, his neighbor was a great guy, but then it turned out he was crazy. But the original one, I forget what country the original one's done in, some European country, I think. That to me sounds slightly more interesting, only because it'll be in Europe, and I don't know, there may probably be a different context with it. In America, it would just be, you know, I think Americans would be more rude. like the first time the guy got a little weird, the American would be like, "What the F is your problem, dude? Stop that." And that would be it. Ardent. Geeky pop culture stuff. The stuff you just remembered, or the unsubscribed thing. Number 6 is new, Whitebird, A Wonder Story. God, they've been promoting this movie for like 1,000 years, it seems. And it's finally out, and I could not care even a little about it. I think, is Helen Mirren in this? Or was she in this, I think? 4.5 million. It looks boring as F. I missed the message. Okay. What message did I... let's see. I think I read all your messages. LOL, I have to own up to having been watching Unsubscribe. They had Gary Nerdrotic on again. Oh yeah, be right back. Just remembered something. Geeky pop culture stuff. You missed a message. I don't think I did. Unless it didn't come up. Anywho. Yeah, the Whitebird movie just looks like a snooze fest to me. It got eaten. Will repost. Yeah, I got it. Did you say something controversial? Like Joker Fallu et Dieu wasn't very good. Number 7 is still Deadpool versus Wolverine, or Deadpool and Wolverine. 1.5 million. That's 11 weeks. It's still making over $1 million. That's pretty impressive. I mean, you got to admit that's impressive. It just goes to show if you make a movie that's fun and watchable, you make money. How hard is it, Hollywood? I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine, just a fun movie. Number 8 is The Substance, up from 11. Welly, 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 well. How did that happen? Huh. Now, I've heard interesting buzz about this movie. 1.3 million. Okay, it's up to 16 million. This probably cost a decent amount of money, I would think, to make. I mean, Demi Moore's in it. I forget. Quayle is the other hot chick, the young hot chick in this. I don't know. Oh, and I think Dennis Quaid is in it too. I'm hearing interesting. At the very least, I want to check it out on streaming. I think there's probably some nudity in it too. That's just. But it also looks, kind of gross. So, hearing good things about it. Number dropping from 6 to 9. Megalopolis. Still made $1 million this week, but this is week 2, and that's a drop of 74%. That is not good. That is super not good. That is like plummeting off a cliff, not good. Yeah. Oofa. Oofa. 7.4 million. Well, I gotta say, I now understand why the studios did not want to distribute this thing. So, at first I thought, my God, the man's an auteur. He made The Godfather. Give him it. You spend hundreds of millions of dollars on crap fest movies. Look, if you were gonna waste money on a stinker, I'd rather this be the stinker than, I don't know, another stupid Marvel movie that's full of woke BS. I mean, there's that. If I had to compare this to the Eternals, I'd rather have this. So, Ardent Test. Okay. I don't know what you're posting that's getting eaten. Ardent, happened again. Anyway, bought the whole Piney series in that Be Right Back moment. What? Oh, thank you, Ardent. That's so nice of you. You're going to have a happy Halloween. You're going to have the happiest of Halloweens ever. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mazel tov. So, yeah, Megalopolis. Jeez. So many disappointments in the cinema these days. There's just nothing here. It's just nothing here. I mean, Beetlejuice was a disappointment. Sounds like, anyway. Although not the biggest disappointment. Joker sounds like a huge disappointment. Megalopolis sounds like a huge disappointment. Transformers 1, I know, is a disappointment because it's basically an episode from the TV show. Ardent, I'll probably read them around Christmas, actually. Have a long school break then. Oh. Merry Christmas. Yeah, just so many disappointing movies. Like, Deadpool doesn't disappoint. I don't think The Substance disappoints. You can make an argument that The Wild Robot and The Transformers basically don't disappoint, but I think the other movies are kind of disappointments. Then there's My Old Ass in its 4th week. This is the Aubrey Plaza movie. Yeah, it just looks boring. It looks like something that it shouldn't rise to the level of movie. Yeah, Aubrey Plaza's in it, but she's kind of second banana in it, which is fine. I mean, she's a bit more famous now. Her name is used to elevate the movie a little bit, but another thing I've noticed too recently, it's like there's so many friggin' movies with time travel tropes in them, and the laziest possible one. I mean, the one I just watched is called Time Cut, and it's just brutal in my view. Ardent Nerdrotic is a pop culture guy on Unsubscribe, a Pew Pew Tuber podcast. I usually watch them after my Sunday show, but went long today. Oh, okay. No, I watch Gary all the time. Unsubscribe, I don't watch. So maybe I'll check that out. Dead Souls. Hello, Dead Souls. Welcome. I came here to distract myself because I'm currently having a panic attack. Oh, no. Are you being serious? Well, let me see if I can give you some good news about movies. Okay, maybe I can give you some good news about comics. No. Well, Ardent just bought the entire run of the Pineys, so it was good news for the Pineys. Ardent at Dead Souls. First, breathe. What's up? Listen, if you're having a panic attack, the first step is to, at least for me, to stop drinking too much caffeine. Although there comes a point in the time where you drink so much caffeine it doesn't quite work as well. Dead Souls. Yeah, it started a few minutes ago. I was thinking about a certain thing and started freaking out about it. Well, there's an interesting study, and I forget who initially brought it up, but it went around the YouTubes, and that is the idea that thinking about negative thoughts is bad for your brain, because and it's just bad for your overall mental health, because by thinking of the negative thoughts, you keep replaying it in your mind and it stretches you out, and then you do it again and you're more likely to do it again. It's kind of a downward spiral thing. So one of the tricks I did, and I may have mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again, is, and I swear this is true, I'm not being glib. I hit a low point. I was very negative. I always very negative and sarcastic. Sarcasm being kind of the enemy in relationships. Quick tip. So I had gotten to the point where I was just miserable. I was just so miserable, and I said to myself, what is the point if I'm this miserable, right? And I said, how can I turn this around? So I said, I have to try being positive. And I said, I'm not quite sure how to do that. And I thought back to, and I swear this is true, George Costanza on Seinfeld. So there was an episode where George says, if every decision in my life has been wrong, then the opposite must have been the right call. And so George starts doing the opposite of his instincts. So whenever anybody asks him a question and you would think George would say no, he says yes, or when he's supposed to say yes, he says no. And immediately things start turning around for him. So I applied that to the negative positive. So normally my move was, if something bad happened, I would immediately think the worst, right? So if somebody didn't return a phone call, or I missed a deadline, or I couldn't get a story published, I would think like the worst things about the publisher and the people involved. And then I started forcing myself to think the other way. I started to think, well, what's the most positive thing that could have happened, right? So I started coming up with these other scenarios in my mind, like, let me give you an example. So somebody turns down one of my articles somewhere, and I get mad because, he hates my writing. Like, that's the negative reaction. But then I took it the positive way, and the positive way was, he probably liked the article, but he just didn't have room for it, right? So it puts it on a more positive spin. Maybe he's holding it for the next issue, or maybe he thought it was too good for the magazine, or something like that. And when you start thinking in a more positive way, it starts to turn things around. and you feel sort of and immediately when I started doing it, I could feel like a weight being lifted off of me. So, if a friend didn't return a phone call or something, I wouldn't immediately jump to the gun. Oh, he's being an a-hole. I would say, oh, he's maybe forgot or he didn't get my message. I'll call him again. And then things changed. It took a few weeks of forcing myself to do that, but after a while, it just sort of became second nature, and I became more positive. I became more relaxed, and it was very helpful to me, and it worked out great. I also felt like, and this is especially true recently, doing sort of good works, whatever you define that to be, um, really, gives you back positivity because it's a positive thing to do good works. And I feel like, even though I'm making money on it, I'm not like living large. Going around and talking about the Jersey Devil and local culture and history, I've gotten a lot of great feedback from people who say they don't just say thanks for coming or great talk. They'll say things like, thank you for doing this. Like, thank you for keeping the history alive. Thank you for telling people this. Thank you for writing these books. And that's very heartening, to hear when people are like that touched by something you're doing. And then you realize like, oh, maybe I'm on the right path here. So I feel like doing the Pineys and doing all these events this month, I don't want to disappoint anybody, and I'm really trying to do a good job. And then like I don't have to feel stressed out about anything or even performing because I always feel like I'm trying to do a good job. But back in the day when I had a job and I hated it and I would do it half-ass and I'd get some flack for it and it would cause me stress or whatever. Now I feel like every time I go out, I'm trying to do my best, and I'm doing something good, and people are enjoying it, and so things are more positive. So going down that path, I think, and even if you're not quite there yet, working towards that. Sorry. Ardent at Dead Souls. Is this something you can do something about right now? If so, go do it. If not, forget about it and think about curly pigtails. Dead Souls. I had a friend that kissed me, and then he said he only wanted to be friends. And then now I like someone and started thinking, what if they do something similar? And that's when it started. Okay. So here's my advice. People who are, I don't know how old you are. That's a huge factor in this. But people, a lot of times, especially young people, are ruled by their emotions or hormones or lusts, and they feel like love is about falling into relationships, and immediately if they feel for someone and they have feelings for them, and then maybe they have a little bit of feelings back, oh, you're in love, and that's supposed to last forever, and that's it, you met the love of your life. And for some people, they're very lucky, and that works out. For a lot of people, it just doesn't. And then there are expectations that aren't met, and then the relationship falls apart in some way, and there's hurt feelings and blah blah blah, and that's just sort of life. So I sense that you're probably younger than me. Try not to put too much of an emotional investment in this kind of stuff now, until you've dated someone and been in a relationship for a long time. Even at my age, like while I was dating, sometimes I dated a woman for 2 weeks and we had a great time. She was very nice. Nothing wrong with her. We didn't have a big fight or anything. Maybe a little fight at the end. Nothing huge. Nothing so dramatic. But we had a good time together for a while, but it quickly became evident that, some things we were connecting with, but we were kind of different people, and it just wasn't going to last. And it didn't. And it went about 2 or 3 weeks, and then it just kind of fizzled out. And for a while, we had a good time, but it was just sort of a fling, and we were going in different directions. But two ships passing in the night. So when you look at it that way, it could be one of those, or maybe it'll be the start of a big thing. But don't try to think about it too much. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Just try to be honest and nice with everybody. Be as honest as you can in terms of relationships, and don't try to overthink it. If anybody wants to, if you want to commit to somebody and start dating or have an exclusive thing, then say that. If you don't, then just take it every day. Take it as day by day, and don't worry too much. Maybe have some fun. Have safe fun. But yeah, don't let it get to you too bad. Ardent at Dead Souls. Okay, that's understandable, but you need to talk to yourself out of the spiral. You have no evidence that this will happen again. Let it go and relax, and hey, you got kissed. That's good. Ardent, dirty, filthy impulses. Dead Souls. The last person I was with actually left me because I was struggling with my mental health and was self-harming. Oh, no. And we were together for a year, but he couldn't handle me anymore and just walked out. All right, well, first, don't self-harm. That doesn't do any good. It's bad for you. So do not do that. All right? You want to treat yourself well, and you want someone you're going to be with to treat you well. So don't self-harm. Just give that up. You got to give that up right now. Just say no more self-harm. It's not worth it. It leads to bad things. I understand you have emotions, and if you need to fight things like depression and sadness, you need sunshine, you need exercise, and you need things to do. Do things. Self-improve, as Sticks and Hammer would say. Look for ways to self-improve. Find hobbies and find skills that you can develop, and you will be more useful as a person. You'll feel better as a person, and you'll probably find a skill or a new hobby that could turn into who knows what. So if you're sitting around thinking about things and getting depressed, you should immediately stop and start researching online for some kind of new hobby. Something you could do. It doesn't have to cost any money at all. Even if it's just going for walks. And even if it's just exercising. You could just start exercising. Exercising is one of the best ways. It gets you healthy. And the endorphins will definitely get you out of any funk that you are in. Assuming you don't have some sort of major chemical imbalance in your brain that needs to be addressed in other ways. It's probably very unlikely. And even if you do have some sort of chemical imbalance and you have actual physical depression, the sunshine and the exercise will still help you. Ardent. Well, look at me. I was husband and dad for almost a year, and it didn't work out. Life is a funny experience. Try to enjoy the ride when you can. You've only got one ticket to the ride. Yeah, that's very true. I too was married, and now I am divorced, but now I'm back in a relationship. And it took a while. There were some rough times in between, but these things happen. Time heals all wounds is a true statement. Ardent, yeah, if you think you might hurt yourself, talk to someone, please. Absolutely, do not hurt yourself. That is not a solution to anything. Just talk to someone. Talk to anyone. Anyone at all. And again, sunshine, exercise, positiveness. Even if you just turn on some nice videos with some puppy dogs, and there are hundreds of videos of them, and they are very funny. Kittens, there's also kitten videos too, if you're more of a cat person. Ardent, taking a vitamin supplement, a vitamin D supplement can be helpful as well. I just increased my dosage from 5 to 6 KIU a day because of my seasonal affective disorder, exercise and hobbies, especially constructive ones. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Self-improve, hobbies. Dead Souls. I do think I'm a week free now, and I was talking with a therapist, but she was a 12th grade therapist, so when I graduated, I'm 18 now, she said she needs to transfer me. Okay, don't panic. You have to look at the positiveness of this. The positiveness of this, and this is the positive spin. The therapist sees you as maturing. The therapist sees you as, now you're 18, and now it's time for you to graduate to a more adult situation. Now, there are still therapists out there, but some people use therapy as a crutch. I'm not saying you do. I'm saying some people do. So if you're a therapist, one of your goals is to get your patient not to ever come back. Right? You ideally want your patient to, and my therapist, I had a therapist for a short time after I got divorced, and she eventually said to me, "Why do you keep coming here?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I thought it would be unburdening." She's like, "Yeah, you're just telling me about your week. You sound fine." And I beat therapy, so I stopped going. So you have to look at it that way. So she's and doctors do sort of testing with patients. So she probably feels that you can try to either go without therapy, or maybe with less therapy, or maybe transition to a friend who could hear you or whatever. So, but don't get into the dark place. You know, when you feel yourself feeling darkness encroaching and that kind of thing, and it's just becoming a terrible. Yeah, that's when you have to say to yourself, no. And there's a reframing. This was Scott Adams, I think, talked about this. What you do, and it sounds stupid, but what you do is you say, bad thoughts out of my head, right? And you imagine all the horrible thoughts in your head, like evacuating your brain, like in a tornado or something, and they just like sort of fly out the window, never to return. And you sort of frame it that way, and then it's like giving your brain permission to get rid of those thoughts. And that's what some people need. And one of the reasons people, I think, go to therapy is to give themselves permission to open up and talk about things that they could also talk about with a friend, but they feel, they feel like, oh, I'm imposing upon my friend. If you have a good friend or a relative you can talk to him. Ardent, something I like to say, even the rough patches of life deserve to be valued. There you go. Dead Souls, my grandparents think I'm fine and don't need a therapist. I think they are crazy. Well, don't dismiss your grandparents. That, again, think of the positiveness of it. They are saying to you that they believe in you. They believe in you. They think you're great. And you might say, well, they're your grandparents. They always think you're great. And to some extent, that's true. But isn't it great that you have two people in your life that think that way about you? That's a huge positive. And you need to hold on to that positive. And if they think you're great, then other people can think you're great too. Ardent. If you need to talk to someone, you need to talk to someone, period. That is true. If you feel you need to, you can talk to your grandparents. Dead Souls. I thought my 12th grade therapist ruined my career because she put me in a mental hospital and it was really bad. Everyone there said lies about me that made everyone scared of me. Well, I mean, mental hospitals are a complicated place full of people, and definitely some of them have mental problems. I'm not sure if you do. I'm not a therapist. I don't have a degree. But you want to just try to do something very simple. And there's did you ever see this thing where you get like a little it's like a little sand pit with rocks. It's a little sand garden. You have a little rake and you comb the sand, and you comb it in like nice little rows, or then you do like a loop or something, and you write your name. And then maybe there's a little waterfall that goes with it, like a calming blip, 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 waterfall. And you just sort of every day you kind of comb the sand in a different direction, and it's calming. So you want to do stuff like that. You want to have moments like that and center yourself. And if you have a few moments like that, it may not last you all day, but it lasts you for a while, and then you keep doing it, and maybe you do some meditation and do some exercise, and as you keep doing it, you slowly build upon that, and then eventually your whole day is calm, and then you become some sort of sensei that can calm the world. Ardent, I'd also suggest comedy. Find something that makes you laugh in a happy way. Joy is how we connect to the best parts of ourselves and life. Dead Souls there. Ardent, as to your career, believe me, there's always time. I'm 48 and started 3 new careers in the last few years: woodworking, content creation, and freelance proofreading. Plus, I'm in school again now. Yes, a lot of young people worry about their careers. At 18, you don't have a career. Nobody has a career at 18. The only people who have careers at 18 are like Jenna Ortega had a career at 18, but she's an aberration. She was very lucky, and actresses are in a different league. They flame on very young and then burn out by the time they're like 30, and then they start playing mom, and then everybody forgets their name. Career, there's barely any way to ruin your career when you've just turned 18. I mean, even if you have been in a mental hospital, it's not what it used to be. Like 50 years ago, oh God, if you would have been in a mental hospital, people would call you a crazy person. That was 50 years ago. These days, it's practically a badge of honor in some line of work. Have you tried to apply at DC Comics yet? Absolutely do not worry about being in a mental hospital. I promise you, your career is not ruined. Dead Souls. Like this one girl there, waved her underwear in my face, then said I was watching her get dressed. Well, she's probably crazy. I would ignore her. LeMay is here. As a Christian, I would say go to good church and seek counsel from a pastor. Talking it out with a friend is a good idea. Enjoying nature or your hobby. Yes, exercise. And also, too, Dead Souls, you're 18. You're very young. I think you're female. And young females tend to have a lot of stuff going on. And the brain department and the hormone department, just like a lot of 18-year-olds. But with guys, we're driven sort of singularly in one direction. Women are they're driven in a lot of directions. Maybe you just try to calm down as best you can. Again, work on skills and hobbies that you like. Maybe just start doing some kind of hobby on the side, making little videos about it. You never know. I mean, that's the way a lot of YouTubers started, who are very big. They just started making little tiny YouTubes about this or that, and they became big hits. But it doesn't have to be about money or hits or whatever. But just do something that'll make you relax and calm yourself. And you can't expect to be calm like all the time, every minute. You can't expect to be happy every second, every minute. You have to, you find some happiness, find some calm, and then maybe things are, I used to go to bed and it would get dark and I'd feel a little overwhelmed in the darkness. And then the next day, I'd have trouble going to sleep, and then finally I'd fall asleep in exhaustion. The next day I wake up, I'd be fine because it was bright outside. That's why part of the key is sunshine. Gotta get sun. I don't mean like go outside and roast yourself in the sun and get super tan. I mean just sunlight. Let the sun shine in. Ardent, you need to let that stuff go and laugh about it. There's always someone who is worse, not being dismissive, just telling the truth. Yeah, I mean, think of all the people in the Ukraine. They're just blowing people up these days. I saw a video of a guy, Ukrainian. I saw one, he got blown up by a drone. That was horrific. And then another guy, he got captured by a drone, which slightly better. Well, a lot better, really. But imagine having to follow the robot back to the POW camp. It's embarrassing. Indie Phantom. Damn, didn't get the stream notification, but I am here now. Yeah, sorry. Really came in hot and just started the stream barely on time. We were talking about Joker 2, and Indie Phantom says Joker 2 seems to have sucked mega cock oils. Yeah, it's not looking good. Yeah, I don't even want to say it at all, at all. If I never see it, I think I'd be fine with that. But I think it'll probably show up in streaming at some point, and I don't know, maybe I'll watch it and then really rip it a new one. The sad thing about it is that it seems to betray the first movie, which I don't know if that's intentional with Todd or if that was intentional with the studio or both. I think a lot of times creators, especially in Hollywood and especially actors, they become resentful of the thing that made them famous, which is sad. He didn't have nobody put a gun to his head. They gave him a bunch of money. So entertain people, jackass. I get it, you entertain yourself, but I don't know, maybe open the bubble a little more so you entertain someone else. Hope my voice holds out at this stream. LeMay, also a possible, Arden at LeMay, also a possible good choice. I've spoken with pastoral counselors who've done me well. Indie Phantom, good news is that Lady Gaga is kicked to the curb for now. Well, I think she's got the Madonna curse. Madonna couldn't make a movie to save her life. Yeah, she's just awful. Except maybe Suddenly Susan, where she just basically plays herself. She just shouldn't be on film. Indie Phantom, Phoenix has had some serious bombs of late, while the weekend MAGA rally had 100K people. That rally looked crazy good. Elon, Tim Pool was there. Everybody was there. So, yeah, that was all over the internet. I hear Elon's speech was really good, too. Ardent, hey, Indy. Indy, hey there, Ardent. Ardent, hello, everybody. Gets a little nuts once in a while. Ardent, a good sleep schedule is important, too. That's true. The circadian rhythm is very important. Think of it as hacking your brain. Captured by a drone sounds effing humiliating. Yeah, it looked well, better than being blown up by one. LeMay, I'm in my 30s and need to go back to school because I chose a degree in art in the boonies. Bonnies? Boonies, I think. You are young. Maybe do some volunteer work. Oh, that's another good thing to do. Or take a gap year. I wish I knew about teaching English abroad. Yeah, that's very lucrative. Indie Phantom will not devote any time to Joker 2. Ardent at Indie Phantom. Nor I. I have no interest in a musical sequel to a film that should have been a standalone. Indie Phantom. Art is going to own the clown space with Terrifier 2. Or Terrifier 3. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I just don't like the gory stuff all that much. Ardent at LeMay. In the Bonnies? Is that a Scots expression? Ah, in the Bonnies. Bonnie lass. But Dead Souls, just, oh, my mistake, Boonies. I thought you meant that, LeMay. Yeah, I mean, if you want to hear about my failures, I can make this a 10-hour podcast if you want. Look, I'll tell you what happens in life. You go to high school. It's super intense. And then you graduate, and it's like they let the air out of your tires. And you're like, huh. Oh, okay. Life isn't that intense. And then you start doing stuff in your 20s, and you start seeing adult stuff that you have to do and realize all this stuff you got to pay and work for. And you're like, oh, this sucks. Yeah, school was way easier than this. And then you start thinking, I wish I was back in high school. And then maybe you go to college. Like, college to me was like my high school. It was a lot of fun. I didn't have much fun in high school, but I had a ball in college up to a point. And, then that goes by, and by the end of college, you're like, this place is BS. I gotta get the hell out of here. And then you get out in the workplace, and you're like, this sucks even more. Man, I wish I was back in college. And then a few years go by, and you're in your 20s, and you're like, I'm not a millionaire yet. Or I didn't achieve, all my goals of world peace and, Oscar domination. And then you hit 30 and you go, oh, now I get it. I have to not give an F. And then you stop giving an F. And then once you do that, you're like, oh, I should have some fun. And then in my 30s, that's what I started doing. I discovered internet dating. And, I had a lot of fun. I also did a lot of improv. There's a fun hobby. If you want to take that up, you can meet some nice people. You can meet some crazy people too. Heads up. But you do learn some fun skills. You can learn to be absolutely fearless in a public setting. So if you're shy and you would like to never be shy again and literally be able to walk into any room and command the room and say, attention, I would like your time, please, and I would like to speak to you. By taking enough improv, you will easily be able to do that. Ardent, volunteering to an animal shelter was therapy for me. I love dogs. Ooh, that does sound happy. Ardent, yeah, growing up is the worst decision I ever made. Ardent, long story short, life is gonna suck. Brace yourself and hit the F it button. Yeah, but there's fun too. I mean, like, you have setbacks, and then a few weeks go by and you were like, what was I upset by again? And then you figure out stuff like I explained with the George Costanza method of just saying, I'm going to be positive no matter what. Like, I forced myself to be positive about situations I had no business being positive on. Right? I would force myself, like, I'm going to talk to this girl. I'm going to talk to her, and she might turn me down, but that doesn't matter. She probably likes me anyway. Maybe she's too embarrassed to go out with me because I'm so awesome. It's that kind of stuff. And you might say, well, that's delusional. Well, it's sort of the fake it till you make it concept. And you just kind of soldier on. And the first couple of times you do it, it's like super weird and awkward. But then you do it enough times and you're like, huh, none of this matters. I kept doing that and I kept getting shot down and I'm still alive and I'm basically the same. Doesn't matter. I can keep doing it all day now. So, LeMay, what happened to my 20s? I accomplished nothing and am still broke. Yeah, let me tell you what I did in my 20s. I graduated college. I had a communications degree. Ha ha ha. I had a minor in writing and anthropology because the archaeology one wasn't offered at my college. With my degree, I would have been Indiana Jones. Hey, yo. Anyhow, I immediately got out of college and went right into pizza delivery. And I spent a year delivering pizzas. Why? Because I was so burned out from college. I just wanted a year where I lived at home and I delivered pizzas and I ate pizza and did nothing with the money. Like I just blew it on the weekends doing nothing. I didn't save any money. I just went out with my friends from high school. I graduated. They all had careers. I did nothing. I just had fun with the money and I didn't care for a while. And yeah, that's what I did. I wasn't writing much. I mean, I was writing screenplays, but you know, I was trying to sell them in LA through the mail and over the phone because we didn't have the internet yet. Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was getting nowhere. I played more Dungeons and Dragons than I worked on my career in my 20s. And I had fun playing Dungeons and Dragons and, you know, going out with my friends. And for a while, I went to strip clubs for a little too many times. But, you know, and then I realized, you know, I really got to get my act together. No, I hit 30 and I was like, oh, you know, everybody does this. Some people do well and they thrive, and other people struggle and they despair, and then other people are like me and like, I'm wasting a lot of time here. I should do something. But it took me forever to figure out that I should be writing the Pineys and talking to people about the Jersey Devil. And now I love it. Okay? Ardent, LOL. Fake it till you make it indeed. Failure is not the opposite of success. Never trying is. That is correct. So, you know, like most of the people who make these movies, they're some of the biggest con artists in the world. You want to talk about fake it till you make it. That's like every actor. Every actor. A lot of these people, in my view, they're bananas. They're bananas, but they are willing to just say and smile and do anything and talk their way into anything just to get money. And if you could reach that point sort of sooner rather than later without, you know, when I say anything to do money, I mean everybody has their own limits, so don't go crazy, I would advise. But you know, I was at one point in my 20s, I was super I had so many principles, you know, angry young man principles, and I wouldn't do certain things, wouldn't write certain things. I was too good for that, and you had to disabuse yourself of that, and that's a young person thing. Ardent, LOL, I've gone as a customer to a strip club less than a dozen times. I bounced in one for a while, and that turned me off the idea. Yeah, I applied to be a strip club bouncer once, and going to the strip club at the daytime, that nearly made me throw up. I mean, the day shift at the strip joint is not a good shift. Oh boy, that is a bit of a horror show, and there's a reason the lighting is very, very dim. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't. A lot of organized crime guys run the strip clubs near here, and I didn't get the job. I figured I was like large enough that maybe they'd hire me, but I wasn't like forceful because I just wanted to sort of collect my money and be on my way and not have to do much. But yeah, as strip club bouncer, you kind of got to pay attention. You can't be like half checked out while stuff's happening. You got to kind of be on your toes. And the mob guys don't like it when you're checked out and not doing your job. Ardent, Tommy Wasu is the epitome of fake it till you make it. Yeah, that guy, his movies are terrible. You think he cares? He doesn't care a whit what I think of him. He's got movies and money. Ardent, LOL, day shift strippers versus zombies could be a good B movie. Yeah, I could see that. With what's her face, Sydney Sweeney in the role. Where's my Sydney Sweeney guy? All right. I'm glad we could solve all your problems today, Dead Soul. So I hope you feel a little better. All right, getting back to the terrible movies we're talking about. Indie Phantom, Canadian stripper ladies spoiled us. In the 90s, I frequented them, and even in the day, the food and the women were fine. Yeah, I hear Canadian strip clubs are way different. I hear you can do things in a Canadian strip club you can't do in the States. But I don't know the rules there. Ardent, nope, Sweeney's too pretty for a day shift. Yeah, but like she'd be like a new stripper. Maybe she... I don't know. Maybe she fell from grace and she's being punished to do the day shift for some reason. Indie Phantom. Plus, we could fondle and often make out with the lady talent. Really? You could make out with them? Huh. Yeah, I better not tell my strip club stories. Anyhow, next up is Never Let Go. One of the dumbest premises for a movie I've ever heard. Halle Berry plays a mom who lives in a house with their 2 kids, and they're trapped in the house, but as long as they leave the house with like a rope tied to the house, they're okay. Somehow. And then one of the kids gets caught by the evil sprite that lives in the woods or whatever. I think they cut his rope. And then they have to save him, but like Halle Berry, I don't know. It's like a metaphor for, I guess, toxic motherhood or something. But look, it's so stupid looking. I don't know why she did that movie. Indie Phantom, I have had naked strippers so drunk they passed out on me. Can't say that happened to me. No. Ardent, depends on the club. I wouldn't have let that stuff pass. Not in the front room anyway. Well, yeah. You were a part of the club. You're not supposed to let much of that happen. Indie Phantom, not supposed to make out technically, but the girls set their own rules. Ardent, at Indie Phantom, money talks. Yes, it does. And also, the one strip club in South Jersey got caught. The mobsters were not only letting the customers have sex with the strippers for money, and a cut of the money, of course, but then they were filming it and putting it on the internet and charging people to see that. Secretly, they were filming it. And then, of course, you know, if anybody they could blackmail, I'm sure they were blackmailing them. Indie Phantom, the real problem with everything is toxic fandom according to Variety. Yes. And the strip clubs, too. Yeah, Never Let Go is just, you should never, it should have been called Never Green Light. Ardent, yeah, I worked for bikers. This was in Alberta. Oh, boy, that's a whole nother level of strip club. I went into a club. I'll tell you this strip club story. So I was with my friend one night, and he is like, we should go to a strip club. Now, this is before I really got into strip clubs, and this was one of the reasons for a long time I thought, some of the ugliest women I have ever seen are in strip clubs. How the hell do they keep hiring these women? Because I hadn't been to many. But my friend was like insistent. We got to go to a strip club. I was like, all right, I'll go with you. So he takes me to the skeeziest strip club in South Jersey, which at the time was along a road called Admiral Wilson Boulevard on Route 130 in South Jersey, across from Philadelphia. Now, this whole strip was a complete dump. There were prostitutes walking along it and bikers that would go to this strip club called, oh God, the French Quarter, I think it was called. It was Admiral Wilson Boulevard. No, it wasn't 130. It was Admiral Wilson Boulevard. That's what it was called. And there was even another strip club down the street that had a slightly better reputation, but he wanted to go to this one. And we got there. And just by the look of the place, I didn't want to go in. I said, dude, I can't go to this place. He said, oh, come on, I just want to go in for a little while. This place it's gross. Like, it was gross from outside. I said, there are a lot of bikers here. I don't think we should go in. He's like, well, I'm going in. And he had driven. I'm like, I don't really want to go. He goes, well, what are you going to do? Sit in the car? I go, I guess I could walk home. He goes, dude, you don't want to walk home. There are prostitutes everywhere. I go, well, okay. So I went into the strip club. I think I went in. I don't think I sat in the car at first. I think I went into the strip club, and then I realized it was just going to cost. It was just a money funnel, right? And there were bikers everywhere and the ugliest strippers I've ever seen. So eventually, I don't think I lasted 10 minutes before I'm like, dude, give me your keys. I'm going to go sit in the car. Please just come out as soon as you can, and let's get the hell out of here. And I sat in the car because it was that bad. It smelled bad. It looked bad. There was nothing good about the place. It was a very bad strip club experience. Very bad. And again, some of the ugliest strippers I've ever seen. Terrible, ugly women. I'm sure they're fine people, but they were ugly. Scars, stretch marks, blah. All right. Ardent. Yeah, toxic fandom is the new buzzword. Indie Phantom Strip Club bonus take. Ardent LOL. Indie Phantom Quebec strippers are so great. But last time in Montreal around 2016, the whole scene in the red light district was largely dried up. All right, getting back to terrible movies. The Forge. That's still in theaters, eh? Now we're down to $425,000 in 510 theaters. That movie seemed to do pretty well from coming out of nowhere. Am I Racist drops way down from, what was it last week? Or last week it was 12. Now it looks like it's down to, I don't know. They stopped doing the numbers after a few times. $387,000. This is in its fourth week. So yeah, it looks like it's finally done. It's going out of theaters. But it did pretty well. This is the Daily Wire's biggest hit. And it probably cost, again, nothing to shoot. Let's see if they have the budget here. I don't think they had a budget on this, did they? Oh, there it is. $3 million. Yeah. So it made $11 million, and that's only domestic. I don't know if it would play overseas, but $3 million. So yeah, that's money. That's Daily Wire's biggest hit. So they'll definitely be doing something else like that again. I'm sure they'll do another one. I think they'll do another one next year. Something with Matt Walsh. Or Matt Walsh will be in it, and he'll like be in charge of the guy who's running around making everybody look like idiots. Oh, you know what? I got to put on a fan. Oh, that's better. Yeah, I turned off my air. So, next up is Reagan. That's a Dennis Quaid movie. $17,000 in its 6th week. Indie Phantom. Am I Racist owned Megalopolis. Not sure what the cinema score was, but Joker 2 was a D and lower than Megalopolis. I know, right? That's what JEC said. I think it was JEC said he was shocked that or Ardent said it, that Joker 2 is actually worse than Megalopolis. Indie Phantom. Matt Walsh is the breakout indie darling of 2024. He certainly is. Certainly is. Now, the question will be, will Hollywood try to poach him? Right? Because that's what they would normally do. They would normally look at a breakout hit like that and say, okay, we'll take him and now we'll give him $30 million to make a movie and then make, $300 million off the movie. But they won't. Why? Because Matt's conservative, his politics are conservative, Hollywood is deep, 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 deep blue. So blue it's red, commie red. So that ain't happening. LeMay. So far, the only movies I heard people talk about in the wild are Beetlejuice, Inside Out 2, and Despicable Me 4. Yeah, it sounds about right. I mean, no one's talking about movies. My girl talked about going to see Beetlejuice for a short blip. When I said, oh, the buzz doesn't sound great, she was like, oh, really? And so a few of her friends were talking about getting a whole group of people and going to see it, but it kind of just died out. I took her to see Am I Racist, but she didn't really like it. And I did. I was laughing. But she missed the beginning because she got up for snacks and the whole thing. But yeah, no one's talking about nobody I know talked about the Joker movie at all, other than, the YouTubers. No one's just, it's like comics. No one's buying new comics. Everybody's buying old comics. No one's really seeing new movies. They're seeing old movies or old TV shows. Because the old ones are better. It's simple as that. It's funny. It's like when the Democrats saying, we won't go back. A lot of people want to go back. A lot of people would love to go back to a time where you could go to the movies and be 3 or 4 decent ones. You don't even know which one to go see first. A time where you can go into a comic book store and go, oh man, give me all the Marvel comic titles, and yeah, give me some of the DC titles too, because there's a lot of cool stuff going on. Those days, I can't even remember. I think somebody pegged it at like 1995 was the last time there was anything really going on in comics. And they were showing me the covers, and even in 95, I remember those covers and going, nah, those weren't great stories either. But for them, it was great because they were kids. Indie Phantom. Many girls have no real sense of humor. That is my hot take of the evening. Well, that's an interesting take. And it's something that I argued back in my college days. I was on a college comedy show, and we had girls on the show. And as always, they complained. What they complained about was, they didn't get enough parts, or, there wasn't really good roles for women. And one time I wrote this sketch that was specifically for 2 women to play. And the premise was, and it came out pretty cool. The premise was these 2 women are in a toy store and they are shopping for Christmas, and they have to get their kids a certain toy. And there's only one toy left, so they end up fighting over it. But they end up picking up like toy swords and weapons and start fighting. And so, but they were made of plastic. But what I did was, in the editing suite, I took 2 pieces of metal, and then I edited the sound of clang, clang when they were sword fighting in the store over the toy. And there were a few other funny lines. I can't go into the whole thing, but it came out really good. And they both came up to me after the sketch and said, oh boy, it was so great to finally get a good sketch for women. And I thought, oh, good. And, and they were in the show, and they had some roles or whatever. So it wasn't all that bad. But the thing was, we had more guys on the show because more guys wanted to do comedy. We had about 3 girls. 2 of them tried to write sketches. One of them was more of a comedic actress. She was pretty good at being a comedic actress. The other one tried to write sketches, and God bless her heart, she tried. But her sketches were never really over the top funny. We ended up shooting a couple of them because she was our friend, and we felt she had the seniority. She'd sort of put in her time. But you know, it's a hard field, comedy. And in comedy, it's sort of dog eat dog or comic eat comic kind of atmosphere where you're, you know, putting each other down and zinging each other at all times. And women don't tend to thrive in that environment. Not like men. Like men are putting you down, but we walk away and go, oh, that was a good meeting. Yeah, it was fun. Women, on the other hand, they do the opposite. They come in and they go, oh, you're so great. No, you're great. And then later they put each other down. I don't know why that is. It's the complete opposite. Like, we go off and blow off steam, and then later we can all get together and be fine with it. Women do the complete opposite. They, you know, it's like one misstep and it's like, oh, I think Cindy hates me. Like, why do you say that? Well, she said this, and the way she said this, and she was wearing this, and you're just like, okay, that's very complicated. I wouldn't even bother to think about it, but I guess it's just the way women are wired. So they tend not to do well with comedy. I think it's partly too because women are very image conscious, so they're less likely to make themselves look like fools, and that's what you have to do in comedy. Now, there have been exceptions, brilliant exceptions. In fact, I follow a female comic. She's pretty old. Her name is Ruth Buzzy. If you don't remember her, look her up. She was very willing. She used to do this character where she'd wear a hairnet and she had a purse and she would hit you with the purse, and it was the same bit all the time. But she's very funny. You know, and there's been a few others, but they are rare. It's just, you know, women tend not to be that way. They don't want their image tarnished, and you kind of have to be willing to do that. Phyllis Diller, who was a famous stand-up comic, you know, she would famously make fun of herself and her ex-husbands and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Joan Rivers. I mean, you guys know Joan Rivers. You know, she made fun of all her facelifts and stuff because there's a lot of truth in comedy. So you have to be willing to say things about yourself. Sorry, my comedy rant of the day. Indie Phantom. Sadly, more people checking OnlyFans than movies lately. I think that OnlyFans is a complete waste of time. Indie Phantom. The women on SNL are tragically, boldly unfunny, in my opinion. I think the whole show's boldly unfunny, quite frankly. I have no use for SNL because it's too institutional. That's what they need to blow up figuratively blow up the institution of SNL. They need to completely gut it at this point. Lorne Michaels should retire with no connection to the show at this point. I know he founded it, it's his baby, but if he wants to truly retire and see the show thrive, he needs to hand it over to somebody who's a true rebel in the comedic sense and willing to do crazy things. And one of those crazy things would be to platform a lot of comics that would piss people off, especially the people who watch Saturday Night Live right now. Like, when you hear people are outraged and want to cancel Saturday Night Live, that's when you know it's funny again. Because the show outraged people back in the 70s. Like, people were like, what the F is this show? The institutions, the establishment hated Saturday Night Live. But it made enough money and was popular enough that it stayed on the air. And so when you can get people, like real funny people, to take over Saturday Night Live and not give an F who they insult, yeah, because Like right now, SNL is finally making fun of Kamala. I think they probably got the memo that, yeah, Kamala's going to lose and we don't care. And the establishment is like perfectly fine now with, yeah, you can make fun of Kamala. She's going to lose anyway. That is way late to the game. They should have been making fun of this woman from day one. Day one. They should have ripped these people, all of them, and Biden included. But they're too afraid. They think they're so important. They need to take down Trump. Bull. They should put a moratorium on political sketches. That's what I would do. If I took over Saturday Night Live, my first decree would be no more political sketches for like 2 years. You guys burned everybody out on politics. Do a sketch on anything but that. LeMay, do most women like slapstick? I would say no. I think women, in terms of comedy, like they prefer light comedy, the kind of comedy that, you know, is either it's very female. So in other words, maybe it's about like clothes or Christmas or raising your kids or something like that, or it's just very light and doesn't harm anybody. Because, and it's not so much that it's funny, they just like it because they like the idea of everybody getting along. With some exceptions. There's always exceptions. You know, there's some women who have great sense of humor and they really dig, you know, certain comedies. They'll dig a good comedian. And there are ones that, you know, they just, oh my, you shouldn't say those things. They're too divisive. Indie Phantom, I did think The Killer's Game was a decent, dumb man cave movie, and there are a pair of sexy stripper assassins. Oh, cool. Damn, an ad just broke in with a very not hot chick. I am very sad to hear that. I'll send an email to YouTube. Dear YouTube, no more commercials with not hot chicks. Indie Phantom, women fester and hold grudges. I think that's true with some women, possibly a lot of women. I wouldn't say it's true with all women, and it kind of depends on the mood of the person too, and the age. I mean, there's so many factors, you know. Ardent, Kathleen Madigan leaps to mind. You know who I thought was funny is Catherine Hahn. Is actually very funny. I've seen her in some funny stuff, but man, Agatha all along. Indie Phantom, I had a girlfriend who hated comedians because every damn thing offended her. She was sexy, so fell for her for a while. yeah, I've been there. But you know, again, it's like, and it depends on age is a huge factor. I think younger women tend to feel that there's more at stake, you know, and younger women know, or at least they should know, that, you know, the clock is ticking on their fertility and their relationships. They need to find a partner. It's better to find a partner early in life, to have kids in your 20s. It's healthier. It's, you know, people in their 30s, they take longer to conceive. And so, at least in my era, there was more pressure to get married, and you know, so there's some of that to factor in. But then you've got, you know, people who are more career oriented. Oh, I'm not going to get married. I'm going to have a kid. I'm not going to have a kid till I'm 40 and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be established. You know, there's a lot of virtue in committing to a relationship, and you know, for women, you know, the career thing, sure, if you really want to have a career, I mean, you're free to do it, but the most important thing you can do for the human race is have a kid and raise it right, so why not give some thought into that? Ardent, Phyllis Diller, Joan Rivers, yep, classics. But not many. I mean, there's Phyllis Diller, there's Joan Rivers. It's hard to name a lot of them. Whitney Cummings isn't bad. Some new girl, I forget her name. Some blonde chick. You know, there's a handful of others, but like, you know, male comedians you can name all day long. And it's not like they're shut out of the system. It's just not like it's not a fun. It's not a fun atmosphere for women to go up on stage and fight it out. And it is a fight when you're like doing an open mic night and you're in front of a hostile crowd of mostly other comedians and you're trying to get laughs. It's a very hostile situation. It's not for the weak at heart. I've been at it, and you know, even in the 80s when everybody was doing stand-up, it was 50 people would show up to an open mic night. These days, the numbers aren't nearly that high, but back in the day, it's not a loving, supporting environment where we're all going to do stand-up. It's a friggin' dog-eat-dog world. Alex Ogle is finally here. I love the part in one show of QI, quite interesting, the BBC quiz. The question was, why aren't women funny? The team with women on it went on a long talk about what women want and how they behave and how they don't like to interrupt each other. Eventually, Jack D buzzed in. Is it because no one else can get a word in? Yeah, I mean, there you go. There you go. It's always been my thought that women, and this isn't a criticism, this is just my observation. Women have a priority that's different from men. Female priority is number one, relationships. Everything's seen through the prism of their relationships, even if they're not dating a guy or whatever. It's the relationship has to be, you know, whatever it is, it adds to a relationship, it's good. If it detracts, it's bad. So, you know, that's the way they see things. They see that in their entertainment, and they see that. So if everybody can watch it and everybody can enjoy it, then that's a huge positive. If there's conflict, then that's a negative. So it doesn't matter if it's funny. It only matters if everybody kind of enjoyed it. Now, you may sit down and watch a TV show, you know, in my family setting, and then hear me rip on the show and how stupid it is, and then everybody laughs at me, and then and then we all have a good time, but the show sucks. But that's acceptable too. See, it doesn't matter how you get there, as long as the relationship and the bonds are strengthened. I think that's just how women are wired. Everything else is sort of secondary, unless they're wired a little differently, which does happen. Indie Phantom, Lorne Michaels destroyed his legacy, and that movie will not save it. I agree. That movie looks boring as F. A couple of moments look kind of fun, but as a guy who was there, you know, watched the original shows, like, I know my reaction already. I'm going to watch it and go, well, that's not really how it happened. It's not really how he would deliver that line. It's not really Belushi. Indie Phantom, haven't watched SNL since maybe 1993 beyond some random clips. Yeah, me too. I mean, I couldn't tell you what era I regularly watched the show. Probably, like, maybe the last era I actually watched the show would have been like Eddie Murphy's era. And Joe Piscopo, if you remember him. He was from New Jersey. He was the famous one for a while when Eddie was on the show, and then Eddie like skyrocketed past him. And then for some reason Joe didn't really get the attention like Eddie did. I don't know why. He did have some great bits. Joe Piscopo did, if you remember, and this is before Phil Hartman, he did an amazing impersonation of Frank Sinatra. It was very funny. Alex Ogle, despite the internet culture clowns deriding Joker 2, I still plan to see it. All right, let us know what you think. We were just talking about it. Keep your expectations dry, I would say. Indie Phantom, Alex, I don't think I will even bother with the complimentary online editions of Joker 2. It has already ruined the first in many ways, which does happen. Ardent says evening to Alex. Don the second is here. Sup, guys? Sup, guys? Don, I saw you talking about music and having like 100K views and only selling a few things, or only selling a few songs or whatever. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. I had 16,000 hits on my review of "Am I Racist" video, and I was riding that wave for a while, and I got some sales for the Pineys, but not as many as you'd think. I got a bunch of subs, but not as many as you think. So it's part of the algorithm. It's really kind of part of life. Like they say, 10% of your audience actually will buy stuff. Alex Ogle, I rewatched the Hobbit trilogy with a girl this weekend. All the ranters about the Rings of Power should remind themselves that Peter Jackson permitted Tolkien's legacy to be ruined. I blame involving Guillermo del Toro's. Yeah, I heard it's not that great. I think it's because they stretched one book into 3 movies. Don the Second, I'll be 30 in less than a decade. For the time being, I'll be waiting for the fresh crop of ladies that appears then. 30's a good time to be dating. That was prime dating time for me. Indie Phantom, Alex Jackson definitely S the bed on The Hobbit. With Lord of the Rings, I still prefer the animated flick from the 70s. So fun. That is good. That's Ralph Bakshi, I believe. The Rotoscope. Ardent at Alex Ogle, LOL. Jack D saying what everyone else was thinking. Alex Ogle, Sydney Sweeney is terrible at comedy, but I definitely watch a show with her in it. I pitched one where she plays a stripper in a day shift, and they fight zombies. Did we say what did we say? Ardent, fighting zombies in the day shift strippers fighting zombies. Indie Phantom, ironically, women also suck at relationships. I would say women tend to overthink relationships. So relationships for women are as important as careers are for men. And they go overboard. Just like men will sometimes go overboard with their careers, right? You do things that you probably didn't need to do. But yeah, I think a lot of advice about women that's sort of classic, or no, I think a lot of advice that women get about men are actually really about women. Because I think a lot of it falls on them, and I think it's projection. The old school ladies, I think, had it right, and I'm old enough just to remember the very tail end of that era, where some of my aunts and uncles, they were from the greatest generation, and they were married since high school, and raised kids and never divorced, none of that stuff. It wasn't even a chance of that happening. And their whole lives were all about in service to the family, and they were always very happy, I think, in a lot of ways, with some exceptions, but they weren't constantly looking for the other side of the fence. Alex Ogle, and I wouldn't recast Michelle Milot in Letterkenny. Michelle Milot, I don't remember her. Ardent, I remember Piscopo from Hollywood Squares and stuff. Indie Phantom, Piscopo and Murphy era was prime for me. Yeah, it wasn't a bad era. It also had Tim Kazurinsky. Remember him. Ardent, speaking of trash movies, Matrix Resurrections is already on regular cable. Got it DVR'd with the rest. Oh, good. And then it'll be easier to throw right into the trash. Don the Second, yeah, dude. Hopefully the views add up. LOL. You'd think with 16K views, at least 1,000 would support. Yeah, right? You'd be like, oh man, I picked up like 1,000 subs. Nope. Because I think some of that, at least for YouTube, I don't know about the music thing that you're on, it's just going to be people who they click on your video, and it's like, oh, it's either like, oh, I don't really want to watch this, or oh, I clicked on this by mistake, you know. Indie Phantom, Ardent, those Matrix sequels were death. Alex Ogle at Ardent, even free, one should never watch Matrix Resurrections. Ardent, I got pretty good bump last week with a video about the lies around the residential school / mass graves / genocide thing here in Canada. Oh, I heard about that. Lots of fun people to troll on Twitter. I can imagine. Ardent at Alex, LOL, that good, huh? I'm expecting it to be trash, honestly, but I'm curious. Ardent, day shift stripper versus zombies. Yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure. Alex Ogle, the only day shift stripper scene worth watching is Michael Madsen as the bouncer in Kill Bill. There ain't nobody to bounce. I had a webcomic about a strip club on the Webcomic Factory. What did I call it? Oh, it was called The Gentleman's Club. And it was about a strip club called Boobopolis. And it was run by a retired porn star. And it was about the day-to-day life of the strip club and funny quirks and whatnot. A lot of it I made up, but I knew some of it from just going there. All right, where was I? Let's see. Oh, here's Reagan. Okay, the Reagan movie, which I hear is pretty watchable. Sounds like it would be watchable. But I could wait for cable on something like that. And here's Saturday Night, week 2. See, they're trying to, they're trying to reverse engineer this. So last week it was in looks like 5 theaters. Now it's in 21 theaters. So they're trying to make it look like it's rising up in the charts. I think, but it still only made $280,000. I didn't even make $1 million yet. How can this? How can a movie like this, languish here? Oh, it's a cool poster though. I like the poster. It's fully painted like the 70s would do a movie, so I like that. But yeah, unfortunately, you can't understand how incredible the original Saturday Night Live was. It was just so amazing. For its time, there was nothing like it on TV. And, I mean, like, kudos for Lorne Michaels for helping invent it, but, time makes fools of us all. And he became old and sort of stayed, I think, and he controlled the show. And Chevy Chase, there was a triumvirate of power. It was Chevy Chase, Lorne Michaels, and the other producer whose name I always forget. And I forget what happened to the other producer. I think he may be dead now. And Chevy left the show, so like Chevy, you got to give a lot of credit for Chevy, because he was making wild stuff back then. Alex at Ardent, it's amazing how credulous people are when it comes to science knowledge of ground penetrating radar and its uses with being hyped by the media, yet the technical descriptions say it can only find graves in a graveyard. So yeah, I mean, Saturday Night Live is a total streaming at best for me. I used to be obsessed with SNL and wanting to get on the show, and wrote some, letters and tried to send in samples. The closest I got was friend of a friend was on the show as a writer, and there was like a slight chance one show that they needed a sketch, and I pitched a sketch for that show. I don't know if it ever got there. There was like a hair's breadth chance that maybe that sketch got to the show, but they're not going to take a sketch from an outside guy. They've already got too many writers working there. But I did have a friend who was an intern there, and he told me about some of the ways things worked on the show, and it just sounded awful. After I heard that, I started to get really, the bubble burst, and I was like, oh man, that sounds like the worst writing environment I've ever heard. Very dog eat dog. I mean, like, basically everybody fighting for time on the show. I mean, if you can imagine. Indie Phantom. Chevy hosted SNL in 1986 once during their first really bad year in 86 when Robert Downey Jr. and Anthony Michael Hall joined the regular cast. Yeah. Yep. And I think he hosted it before then, too. Because I remember he did a sketch where I think it was Future Jeopardy. And one of the questions was about him, and then it was like former SNL star who left the show and died in a horrible accident or something. He made a joke at his own expense. It was pretty funny, and like nobody could guess, nobody knew the name Chevy Chase, and that was the joke. After Saturday Night is Alien Romulus. That's some reason still in theaters. I'm not interested in that movie. A Different Man, another art house flick in its third week. Again, they're trying to push it up the charts. Ardent question. Oh man, I almost got that one, Ardent. That time I saw the message and then it was retracted. I don't know if it was by you or someone else. Alex Ogle. For Tony, the claim was that they used ground-penetrating radar to find the graves at the residential schools, but they scanned wasteland and called anything that was a disturbance a grave. Ah. Yeah, that sounds like the mindset of someone who came up with the conclusion first and then used the tools to validate the conclusion, right? So if you thought, oh, we're going to find so many graves here and then we're going to prove what a bunch of bigots Canadians are, it sounds like the way the woke Canadians would do it. Ardent at Alex Oogle, indeed, but then these same people will refuse to question for fear of being called racist. LOL, I pointed out how the lie pushing in this case might cause people to question the big bad thing from the 1940s. I removed to repost. It was Indie Phantom. Alien Romulus is an inexplicable hit in my opinion. Humble opinion. It's like, again, these are all just sort of coasting on the laurels of the previous hits. That's all it is. That's all half these movies are. If it wasn't for their previous hits, this would have just been a scary alien movie about some other aliens. Instead of going down your mouth, they go up your butt or something. I mean, change the damn alien, will ya? Change it. Ardent. Yeah, the ground penetrating radar graves could be caused by any number of things. Tree roots, random stones, even the freeze-thaw shift in the ground. Alex at Indie Phantom. There are no alien movies after James Cameron's 1986 masterpiece. Then vindicating Trump in its second week. Whoa, dropping 80%. Well, that's not very good. So that one didn't do very well. But let's be honest, it's a propaganda film for Trump. So, I mean, I didn't think a lot of people would go see this, even Trump fans. I mean, I kind of don't need to see it. The people who would need to see a movie that, and look, it's going to be biased towards Trump anyway. So, back in the day when there was a little more credibility in media, maybe somebody would have went to see this movie. Regular people might have gone and see it. Not in this environment. Ardent at Alex Ogle. LOL, I liked Resurrection, but I didn't know ESS at the time. Kind of wondering about that wooden ship, though. Indie Phantom. Alex, I did Aliens at the time, but I want to full stop after the original. There is wokeness detectable now in Cameron's film that I can't shake now. Cameron is an interesting guy. I mean, clearly knows how to make a movie, but I think like a lot of talented people in Hollywood, they're just getting corrupted. I always point to Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert is an amazing talent. He really is, or he was. And he's gone so completely down the political rabbit hole for the Democrats. It's just, in my view, it's destroyed his comedy. I mean, it's destroyed it. I look at him now as a joke. I look at it, I mean, like, not a good joke. And I'm embarrassed to tell anyone that I used to laugh at him. That's how much, like, he's fallen. Same thing with Howard Stern. Oh, boy. Let me talk about Howard Stern for a minute, in case you didn't hear. Howard Stern's interviewing Kamala on his show. And, like, I couldn't think of a bigger sort of bow on the top of Howard Stern has become everything he used to rail against. I mean, talk about the most establishment thing ever, and I'm sure it's going to be one of the most fawning interviews of all time. I can remember a Howard that if he had interviewed Kamala Harris, he'd have destroyed her. He'd have utterly destroyed her. He'd have been like, what? What are you even saying? Do you know how to make a sentence? Well, what are you saying? Like, he would have been like that. But there's no way he's going to do that against Kamala. I mean, do they have tape on Howard? Is that what happened? I don't know. I don't care anymore. I'm done with these people. I'm done with these celebrities who are worth insane amounts of money. They won't retire. I don't know why. Or they won't, like Howard, I thought at one point would retire from radio and go do movies. Go do comedy movies. It seemed like a perfect fit. He'd done Private Parts. It was pretty good. I enjoyed Private Parts. So then maybe do another movie, or a narrative where, I don't know, some wacky comedy with some of his comedian buddies. Maybe stay on the radio, to use that as leverage to get people to go see the movie, and then, maybe start turning that into a full-time movie career. But for whatever reason, he didn't do it. I mean, you don't have to be handsome to be a comedy lead. But I don't know. Maybe there wasn't enough money in it, or it was too much at the time. Where did I leave off? Indie Phantom. Alex, I did Aliens at the time. No, I read that one. Indie Phantom. Howard Stern has become a tragic figure. He really has. He's really, him and Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, the list goes on and on. And those guys had to go a long way. And look, compare that to, say, Louis C.K. now, right? Like, Louis C.K., yeah, he messed up, but he's still funny. I'd still go see Louis C.K. in a minute. Oh, Louis C.K.'s playing? Yeah. I mean, he sells his stand-up shows online for like $5 or $10. Yeah, I buy those. Sure, that's not a problem. Howard's gonna go somewhere? No, thank you. No, thank you very much. Stephen Colbert has a new show? No, thank you. Keep me far away. Become producers or direct something. And somebody I think it was Tim Pool, reposted Howard's incredibly racist sketch from the Channel 9 show, if you haven't seen it. And he's doing comedy, he's doing blackface, and it's not, It's not meant to be, say that Howard's actually racist, blah, blah, blah. But, Howard's gone so far onto the other side now. I'm waiting for him to apologize, because that's going to keep coming up. I bet he apologizes. Maybe he apologizes on the interview with Kamala. I don't know. Indie Phantom. Kamala will cackle throughout that bogus interview. Yeah. Yeah. Alex Ogle. Movie pitch. Alien stripper. Sydney Sweeney plays Eastern European on the mean streets of Montreal, working as a stripper while trying to negotiate a move across the border to the U.S. Plot twist. She's a xenomorph with acid for blood who kills her clients. A leg dead grip like Xena on a top. Famaki Janssen. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, let me see a draft. It sounds great. What did we leave off? Okay, so vindicating Trump. Yeah, I mean, it's just a commercial for Trump. Despicable Me 4, still in theaters. People still like it, 100K. It Ends With Us, still in theaters. People still like it, 100K. Twisters, people still like it, 85K. Oh, here's a new movie, Look Back, in 2 theaters. Oh, this is a kid's movie. Some kind of cartoon. I don't know, made... Wait, 72,000 here. Made 1.6 million overseas, so that might be animated. Or anime. Kind of hard to tell. Maybe it's foreign. Doesn't have the normal Japanese cartoon look to it, though. Faith of Angels. I think that's another religious movie in week 4 going out. 63K. Leap of Faith. Definitely sounds religious. Expect more of these in the future. 31K. Maybe the religious guys will take over the movie industry. That might happen. Because they're sort of following, they can kind of always rely on. Like, you do another Jesus movie, you can kind of rely on a certain amount of people to show up and see it. Alex Ogle. I can see the climax of the film. The hero shoots her, spilling her blood, but it just dissolves all her clothes. Oh, yeah. The Front Room. That's that Monique horror movie. That's going out. 17K. Inside Out 2 still in theaters. 13K. In the Summers. I forget what that's about. Third week. 10K. That's going away. Separated, a new film in 1 theater. Sounds like, I'm going to guess it's an art house film. Let's see if we can find anything. Indie Phantom. On another note, the Salem's Lot remake was garbage, but great use of Gordon Lightfoot's Sundown, You Better Take Care. Yeah, I don't know. Apparently it was supposed to be theatrical and was dumped on Max. Yeah, I love the original so much. I'm kind of pissed off they even made it. See the original, by the way. Salem's Lot, the original one. Oh, it's creepy, man. Oh, it's messed up. Some good scenes in that film. Holy crap. I will give it to the remake for the scene where the guy's running towards the church and the vampire flies up, grabs him before he gets to it, and like flies him like above the door before he can get in. Ardent. DEI twist. Remake Private Parts with Sydney Sweeney as a stripper who runs a radio show in her free time. Call it Lady Parts. Nice. Nice. Indie Phantom. Bill Pullman's son starred, and he was not great. Oh, ouch. Oh, that's right. I think I remember hearing that and seeing him and saying, oh yeah, he does look a little bit like Pullman. Sing Sing, still in theaters, $7,000. Music for Mushrooms, $6,000. Dolly, $3,200. It's in 7 theaters. You only made $3,200. Tokyo Cowboy is still in 8 theaters and made $825. Yeah, I think that's done. I think that's very done. Dolly has been in theaters for 20 weeks. I think it's time to remove a lot of these from the theaters. I don't know what you're going to play. The box office is $86 million for the week. or for the weekend. Alex Ogle, yeah, but it's based on a Stephen King book. No good can come of that. I can't tell you how sick I am of Stephen King. He keeps popping up on my Twitter feed with his horrible political takes. And for a while, I gave him a pass. But then he did something that I feel was really, really stupid. You know, a lot of these celebrities, they promote the Ukraine because they're really, really stupid. So, for some reason, King jumped in on that. And he didn't go to the Ukraine like some celebrities did. But he had like some kind of talk. I don't think it was with Zelensky, but with somebody. And during the course of the talk, they talked about Stephen Bandera. Now, Stephen Bandera, for those of you who don't know, was a hero in the Ukraine. He's a national hero. But the problem with him is that he was on the German side during the big war. Yeah, that big war. Like, the Ukrainians hated the Soviets so much, some of them joined the Germans. Now, you can make an argument in either way for like, well, it was really bad for the Ukrainians. And there is an argument to be made. However, the guy still was one of these Germans. In fact, he was one of the German officers who was in the special section of the German officers. You know, the ones with the little lightning bolts on the collar. But he was like a colonel. He was a high-ranking member of the Lightning Bolt Brigade. And that's why the guys in the special battalion in the Ukraine is modeled after. And they're big fans of his. And yeah, so that's not good. That's very not good. I can understand acknowledging the guy from history, but making him near a national hero, well, you might not want to endorse that. And it seemed like Stephen King during the live stream, at least it seemed to me, he either didn't understand who Bandera really was, or he was just like, oh yeah, cool. So and like there's kind of no excuse for him, because to me, like, when you're a writer and you're gonna be a celebrity writer and you're gonna go on a live stream and somebody hits you with that kind of information, you either A, need to be more careful, or B, you probably should have gotten that information earlier and done a little research. And then, you know, okay, you're gonna support the war. I think that's a bad idea, but you should definitely not be supporting this figure from history at all. I lost my place again. Oh, Indie Phantom. It's actually the third Salem's Lot. There was another miniseries in 2004 with Rob Lowe and Rucker Howard. Oh yeah, I vaguely remember that one. No, the original one's the best. Don't go with anything else, I say. Indie Phantom was also bad. Yeah, I didn't even watch it. Indie Phantom. Toby Hopper's version creeped me out as a kid. It's so good. It's so good. Especially the scene where the little kid talks to the other little kid and tries to lure him outside. Indie Phantom. Yes, Alex. Stephen King is the most overrated of all writers. He does have... and I'm going to defend him a little bit. In terms of his writing, he is really good at certain things. But he's also, you know, he also just sort of grinds through stories, which is great for Hollywood and great for turning him into movies. But, you know, after a time, it's like a little much. I think one of the smartest things he did in terms of marketing was when he then sort of rebranded himself as a different author named Bachman, and then published some other stuff, and then that got turned into movies. But like, he definitely, to me, is not a guy who should be on Twitter every day spouting his 2 cents. I mean, because his 2 cents, Like all these old people, old men and old women who are rich beyond I can possibly imagine are on Twitter, and they're not wise. They're just rich. You know, they're not known for geopolitics or, you know, they're just not smart. You know? And look, I read about this stuff. I wouldn't consider myself an expert. I think we've seen what some of the experts have done. I think I'm smart enough to at least pick out experts that are maybe well informed sometimes. But gosh, the celebrity hot takes are just brutal. They're just brutal. And a lot of the older guys, they rely on older forms of media that, man, that those older forms of media creak. They actually creak as they give their opinions. Like if you're reading like something like The Atlantic, I think you're out of your mind. Alex Ogle at Indie Phantom. He has two themes: gore and sexual deviancy. Yeah, I never read it, and then later I read about what was in it, and I just thought, oh, what? Why would he put that in? Like, how did that even work? Indie Phantom. King is a disaster on X. His TDS crosses so many lines of good taste. Yeah, and he wasn't exactly great during the pandemic of the thing that shall not be named. Indie Phantom. Yes, Alex, and stories are really quite dumb. I like some of the early movies, but it's different, a different matter and medium. Alex Ogle, this special police battalion, as written about in Ordinary Men, a fascinating but tragic book. Perhaps the Canadian Parliament will give Stephen King a standing ovation in time. King's short stories are relatively good. Skeleton Crew is a worthwhile read. Indie Phantom. Stephen King was Bachman Turner, Maximum Overdrive. Oh, really? Oh, I get it. Alex Ogle at Indie Phantom. Ba-dun-dun. Don the Second. My parents are diehard Harris supporters. Come election day, I'm either going to hear shouts of joy or shrieks of pain. Either way, I'll be stoned in my basement playing Xbox. No, you won't, because you're going to go out and vote, right? After you vote. You're going to be stoned later. Make sure you vote, damn it. And, you know, try to convince a friend. Now, I live in South Jersey, and they're pretty polarized here. It's hard to find someone who's even kind of on the fence. My advice is try to aim for someone who maybe you could get to just not vote for Harris. Because at this point, they're few and far between indie voters. And you can't go too hard in the paint or you entrench people. So, but yeah, I mean, Don the Second, after I vote. Oh, good man. Alex Ogle at Don the Second. Yes, listen to Tony. He is. He forgot to add that. All right, good. Yeah, I can't wait to vote this year. I mean, like, I'm not gonna have a problem voting because my little town never has a problem with that. But you know, I know people in other parts of the country who just have all kinds of crazy problems. Don the Second. Man, it feels like a lost cause. I'm in Minnesota, so you already know what is happening. Shake my head. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Minnesota's going to be tough. But not insurmountable. Same thing with Jersey. Like, Jersey's going to be tough. But there is a huge bastion support here. There is for Trump in Minnesota. Alex Ogle at Don the Second. More to the point. How are your great-great-grandparents going to vote? Of course, Dem. Indie Phantom. I will give King credit for driving himself to a small Canadian school in 2014 near where I live and giving a great little masterclass to students that had been writing to him 4 years. Well, that's nice of him. It was nice to see him on YouTube. Yeah, I'm sure he's not a all bad guy, but I just wish he'd stop talking about politics. It's so uninteresting from him. I wish more comedians would get back on Twitter and just make jokes like Gilbert Gottfried used to do. And he used to get in trouble all the time. Don the Second, yeah. All right. Got to get some other tabs open here. I don't have any of my tabs open. Sorry. Let's go to what am I doing here? Oh yeah, Fandom Pulse. Let's see what happened at Fandom Pulse this week. I'm like so far behind, so out of the loop. Kickstarter banned me for submitting my Space Marine military sci-fi comic. This is insane censorship from Kickstarter, banning someone who delivers quality sci-fi books on time when they have such a bad reputation as it is. I assume this is JDA. That's a shame. Who knows, though? Kickstarter, man. I wouldn't use Kickstarter anymore. It's kind of, first off, it kind of died a while ago for me. Don the Second, CNN is like lounge music in my living room. Well, thank your lucky stars it isn't MSNBC. So some of my relatives, MSNBC is like ringing all day long. And that is much, much worse. CNN every once in a while, won't be that terrible, but MSNBC, man, is terrible constantly. Like, it's beyond terrible. And in fact, there's a great video out now from James O'Keefe. He got, yet again, and it's always so funny when it happens. I mean, you got to watch these videos. They're hilarious. So he gets these reporters, and I assume they are all hot chicks, 90% of them. And they go on Bumble, and they lure their targets in, who are usually people who work in media or politics or wherever. And, they wait until they get a date with them, and they go out on a date, and they wear a camera, and then hope to catch them in some interesting dialogue about what they do for a living. And so this time it was an MSNBC writer or producer or both, I think. And man, he said some wicked, horrible things about the audience. Like, oh, they're brainwashed. Yeah, they get dumber watching the show. We're doing everything we can for Kamala. I mean, like, he was pretty blatant about it. It was clear, like, he's just speaking off the cuff. Now, you can argue he's just trying to impress some hot chick. And he probably is, but it's probably true, too. Don the Second. Oh, you kidding? I just saw Jen Psaki while walking out to smoke. Her only redeeming qualities are her face and behind. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I have relatives who watch that for the news now. And, yeah, it's not great. Don the Second. Tony, if I become famous in music and get canceled, I'll blame you. Just kidding. All right, what's next here? Saber Interactive Chief Creative Officer Tim Willits blast AAA video game developers in Space Marine 2 interview. So more controversy in video games for some reason. I don't know why we have so much controversy in video games. Used to just play video games and nobody gave a rat's A. Used to go to the arcade, have a great time, spend too much money, and then come back. And that's another thing I did in my 20s. I went to the arcade a lot. But yeah, that's a thing. I would go out with my friends sometimes to a place like maybe it would be a bar, maybe it'd be like a bowling alley with a bar or something, but a place that had like video games, some really good ones, and like I don't drink, so I'd get bored and I'd wandered over to the video games. I'd just start playing games. And they're like, dude, weren't you hanging out with us? I'm like, yeah, I'm hanging out. I'm playing video games too. Do you want to play? And they'd be like, all right. Sometimes they just laugh at me. Even a New York Times writer knows fantasy traditional publishing is impossible for a white male author. That is true. I've talked about that. Don the second, gaming controversy is insane. Yeah, it's like every single... It's funny because the gaming companies sort of exploded, right? They're just making so much money. I knew a guy, and he worked for a gaming... I believe it was a gaming magazine. I forget which one. This was in the 90s. He said, we had these German investors who bought the magazine, and they had ridiculous sums of money, just insane. And they were based out of San Francisco at the time. And they called them up one time and they said, we want you to throw a party. And they're like, okay, we'll give you $100,000. This is in the 90s, so this is like 30 years ago. So they told him to spend $100,000 on the party. And they immediately said, well, what do we do with the excess money? And they said, no. Spend all the money. We want it to be the most incredible party of all time. And I said, how the hell did you... And I said, did you spend it? They said, oh, yeah, we spent it. I said, how? He said, they put it in the most expensive hotel in San Francisco at the time. He said, we had a floating island in the middle of the dance floor with a band on it, and the band was playing on the island as it floated around, and people could dance. He said we had, every food you could possibly imagine, with chefs there serving it. So they had like a sushi guy cutting up sushi. He said we had drinks served in pineapples and coconuts, like that had been imported, and that they were fresh, and they would cut them, gut them open for you, and mix the drink and hand you a whole pineapple. Like, they just wasted the money in every conceit. I said, that must have been an amazing... He said it was the most amazing party they've ever been to. Like, the food was incredible. They had the most gorgeous serving girls. It was just crazy. Don the second, it's the same as TV and movies with the culture war, only less women have a say because it's video games. Well, no, the problem is women are in all of this woke stuff, and they join these consulting firms full of DEI nonsense, and they say, well, hire our consulting firm and we'll come in and tell you how to make your game so it's not sexist or racist or whatever. And then they come in and ruin everything because they're just like, oh, well, you have to make the protagonist female. Oh, she's too hot, make her uglier, because I don't want to compete with that. And then it just goes on and on from there. Don the second, wow, there was an arcade that has drinks and games there in my city now that I think it's open. Oh yeah, that's like a new thing, the hipster arcade place. There's a place near, well, it's not really near me, it's in Asbury Park. It's the Pinball Museum. So you can go to the museum, and has all the old pinball games, and then I think for a small fee you can play games for like an hour or whatever. It's pretty cool. Indie Phantom, this stream makes me want to blow cash on video games and strippers. That is what I learned today, Tony. Hope you're proud. Well, if you have the money and you're safe and don't do anything crazy at the strip club. Don the second at Indie Phantom, very noble causes, better than donating to Act Blue. That's true. That party sounds amazing. LOL. 100K in the 90s, insane. I know. I just couldn't believe it. I was trying to calculate in my head how they could spend that money. He said it was just everything top shelf, like everything you possibly think of, Kobe steaks and top shelf liquor, like everything's top of the line. I just thought, oh man, I would have just gorged myself. Don, every time you guys talk about the 90s, it makes me pissed I had to grow up with the blue hairs. Yeah, Sweet Baby Inc. LOL. Yeah, the 90s were a different time. The 80s, dude, you missed the 80s too. The 70s were like nuts. The 90s for me, by that time I was in my 30s. I was having a good time, but like, it was uh, it was just normal, right? It was just normal. Like the '90s were great, and like the early 2000s, it was really peak America because like everything was going well. People had money. Things were relatively cheap. I mean, there were some problems, but it's not like now. You know, we didn't have a care in the world in the '90s, really. And the Berlin Wall fell, and that was it, man. We were like living life. We were loving life. We won the Cold War, and it was like over, and we were gonna reap the benefits. And like, meanwhile, everybody friggin' robbed us behind the scenes. Down a second. Yeah, they ruined a lot of games. Luckily for gamers, there's so many developers that the big ones that get infected with wokeness don't matter as much. Yeah, that's what's happening to everything, right? The big institutions get infected first, and then the little ones have a chance to take over or grow at least. I mean, I'm sure I'm eating the audience of some book publisher somewhere. Ardent, LOL, arcade with peelers sounds interesting. Sorry, peeler is Alberta slang for stripper. Oh, cool. That's a cool term for it. Ardent, at Don the Second. Oh, yeah, you missed the 80s too, though. Don, at Ardent, I just came up with the greatest business idea. Oh, okay, cool. Indie Phantom, there is a pinball arcade here, and it's awesome. Great. It's hard to see the symbols. Oh, burgers, pizza, and retro candy. Ooh, too. $25 for 2 hours. 2 people, all play on Sundays. That's not bad, as long as it's not Dave and Buster's. I hate Dave and Buster's. Ardent, at Don the Second's. Competition nights, beat Donkey Kong, get a lap dance, and a margarita. Don the Second. Damn, 30s in the 90s. I feel like a sperm call right now. Yeah, I mean, I was just in the 90s. I was just going to Philly. I was doing improv, and my whole reason to do improv was just to meet girls. I thought, oh, I'll meet girls, and I eventually did, and but it wasn't really until the internet came, and then they had internet dating, that I really took off. I was, when internet dating was new, I was rocking it. I was getting I couldn't I didn't have enough time to date all the girls I could have dated. I had a spreadsheet of all the girls who I had contact with to keep track of them all. It was so crazy. And before that, though, it was like slim pickings for me. But after that, it was like, hey, I got a lot of dates. At one point, I was like, I got to slow down on the dates. I don't have any money for these dates. When I was working my like stupid office temp jobs. And that was the other thing too. I was working as an office temp. You could just get a job anywhere in the 90s. Here's how easy it was to get a job in the 90s. You could just go to an office temp place. They'd be like, oh, you want to be an office temp? And be like, yeah. Can you work a computer? Like, oh yeah, I can work a computer. And they'd just be like, okay, we'll call you next week. And then they'd call me, and you could go, they'd say, do you want to work Monday to Thursday this week? I'd be like, yeah. But if like I was doing something, or I don't know, it was summer and I wanted to go to the beach, or I had a comic book convention, I'd just be like, no, I don't want to work. And they'd be like, oh, okay, cool, we'll call somebody else. That was office temping in the 90s. And like, Don the Second, they weren't kidding when they said life goes quick. Yes. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. What else is going on? Battletech fans reject self-insert novella from Blaine Pardo's woke stalker. Good. LeMay, my sister was told me about a coworker who started an anime club, female cosplayers, booze, and video games, nerds everywhere. There's a group like that. I went to one of their events trying to sell my books. It wasn't really an event for me to sell. But like they're trying to turn it into that. They're trying to turn it into like a cool nerd event. But it was mostly run by anime fans, and I mean they hold it in a pool hall, and they got a lot of booze. These guys had a ton of booze, and they also had like rappers, which was kind of cool. I was like, this is way too cool for nerds. And so they had like a few different rappers throw down. Is that the term, Don? Throw down? Do they throw down? And they did their thing. They weren't bad. It was loud though. It was loud. I had to leave about halfway through the rappers because I was just like, okay, I'm not selling anything. I mean, it was cool, but it wasn't my scene. I'm too old for that. I was like, I want to go to bed. Ardent, LOL. Speaking of the online dating thing, I'm half tempted to apply a bunch of filters to a pic and see how many chicks fall for their own tricks. Oh, they totally will. Down a second. Bruh, maybe we'll start a new era after wokeness goes out of style. It's a coming. Unfortunately, the new era will probably be hardcore traditionalness and religion. That's the danger. James Lindsay's sounding the alarm on that already. You don't go too far hard in the paint in traditionalism. And already some people are making noises like, okay, yeah, I'd like a return to some traditionalism, but don't go too crazy with it. But we'll see what happens. The first priority is get Trump back in. That's a first priority. Stop the bleeding and turn the boat around. Ardent, we need to resurrect the Gentleman's Club. The webcomic or the actual concept? LeMay, only temp agencies here are warehouses. Yeah, they don't really do it much anymore. There's not, you know why? Because they don't need temp workers anymore. The AIs are slowly, destroying. If you have a secretary, you're not going to have a secretary anymore. You're going to have an AI. You won't need a secretary. You just say to your AI, what's my schedule for the week? AI, book me some plane tickets for this or that. Call so-and-so and tell them I'm late for my appointment. Like, the AI will do all the stuff your secretary used to do. And it'll probably do it better. Definitely do it better than I did. Because I did not pay attention. Don the second, that sounds like something I should do, LOL. Throw down could be proper terminology, LOL. Yeah, it wasn't a bad scene. It's in Summerdale, New Jersey, but you're far away from that. Dude, that event sounds dope as F. I got to start doing those types of events, LOL. Yeah, I'm sure there'll probably be one near you somewhere. But, like, they're real small, and they advertise. I see their updates on, they call it Nerd Wednesdays here. So, and they put on anime. Nobody can hear it. The music's so loud, but they put it on. And they're playing video games, and they give away prizes. They had some girls in, like, cosplay. Ardent. Lindsay's just a nut bar, though. Woke right doesn't exist, let alone as an infiltration method for Christian nationalism, the drinking establishment. Well, look, I look at it this way. I think he is right in that what happens when the pendulum swings back is it always swings back too hard. And you do have guys who have just been waiting for that because they never were on the left, or if they were, they weren't accepted or didn't make enough inroads to be worth a damn. So they switched sides, and now they're going hardcore right, but they're going harder than anybody else to make a name for themselves. And the problem with that is some of them will use religion and say, well, you're not Christian enough unless you do X, Y, Z. And the real danger is somebody who's a real nut bar taking it too far, and the left either regaining their ground or just it becoming too much. Like, I remember the days in the 80s during the Satanic Panic, and you had a bunch of religious nutbags screaming there was Satan everywhere, and it was really just a bunch of local kids spray painting old buildings with pentagrams and whatnot 90% of the time. There are people, it doesn't matter who they are, what their political ideology. If they're establishment, if they're in power, they will use it to grind anyone in their way down. It doesn't matter if they're left, right, or they just happen to be in charge of a program at a college. I mean, usually the smaller the stakes, the more vicious they are about it. There are propped up little tin-pot dictators everywhere. Don the Second, I don't think traditionalism will go too hard. My generation is sort of fried from going through years of propaganda and culture wars. We are our own weird group. Possibly. Ardent, Fembot secretaries, the best both worlds. AI-powered administrative assistants that you can sleep with and erase the cache so your wife doesn't find out. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who's going to do more. Will it be guys banging robots or girls banging robots will be the question. Or will it be the situation where you meet a girl and you talk for a while and then you decide, hey, why don't we get together online tonight and we'll plug in each other's sex bots, and my face will be on your robot, your robot's face will be on mine, you control my robot, I control your robot, kind of thing, right? So something like that. I think that could be something. Like, it could be a way for people to do it without actually doing it, and in some ways it would be safer, but in other ways it would be it wouldn't be actual sex. It would be weird and kind of dehumanizing at the same time. And this kind of gets into what Isaac Asimov warned of. What the hell's the name of the story now? I always forget. So there's a story about this detective who has to solve this murder, and it's on this planet which is very sparsely populated, and the people of the planet never actually meet in person because there's too few of them, and they always talk via hologram, and it's considered crazy and rude to meet someone face to face. So they just never meet face to face. They always meet like via hologram. And so these people are actually afraid to meet each other face to face. But one of them ends up dead, and he's been clearly murdered, and he has to figure out the murderer. And so, it's about how he tries to deal with these people, and they're like absolutely petrified of being in the same room with you. And so it may make people kind of worse. I mean, I still go in the shows, and I can't believe I'm saying this. Still, especially the further north I go, there are still people wearing masks. They are absolutely petrified of germs. There were some at the book fair that were they were still wearing masks. But then again, the book fair town, Collingswood, very hipster, very, very liberal. There was a huge window for this business. I won't say which one it was, but it had nothing but BLM and Kamala posters and all that stuff. And I swear to you, girls with brightly colored hair were going in and out of it during the course of the event. And some of them came to my table. Now, I don't really talk about politics at the table. That is super bad for business. But there was at least one guy who, how do I describe this? He looked ridiculous. He was, let's say, cosplaying as another gender and doing it incredibly poorly in an outfit that made him look absolutely freakish. And he clearly wanted a lot of attention. I didn't think he was, like, I have a friend who's trans, and I believe she has gender dysphoria. I mean, she really wants to be present as a female. But that guy, clearly, he had like 5 o'clock shadow. He was wearing the ridiculous outfit. He looked like an absolute freak. He wasn't trying to present at all. I don't think he wants to be female. I think he just wants a bunch of attention and wants to make everybody uncomfortable and weird. So I refuse to acknowledge him. Fortunately, I was busy with other people anyway, and he quickly got bored and went his merry way. Yeah, so there were a lot of people in that crowd with masks on. Still, outside. We were outside in the sun. It was hot that day. Germs can't survive. I mean, you know anything about viruses? You know anything about the particular virus? They proved quite quickly during the thing that happened a few years ago that the potential virus evaporated in any degrees above, I think it was 75 or 76, and it was way hotter than that. It had to be like, you know, high. I think it was like close to 80, and there's just no way. There's just no way the virus could have survived in the air. It was so friggin' hot, and I was right in the sun. So they're just scared. It's sad. It's sad to see. Oh shoot! I lost my place again. Indie Phantom. Remember the Temp movie where Timothy Hutton hired the hot chick turned nightmare? I kind of remember that movie. Whatever happened to Timothy Hutton? Is he dead? I haven't seen him in anything in ages. Ardent. Oh yeah, the overcorrection of the pendulum is gonna be asshats like that. Yeah, and like the danger is one of those asshats gets into a powerful position and then and does damage the other way. And some people would cheer that on as revenge, but that's not good. Like, I think the rainbow community has gone way too far and they're out of their ever-loving minds these days, but I don't want to see anything hurtful happen to them. I would like to see them ignored and marginalized so another group can rise in their place that's sane and thoughtful, but like gays against groomers. But yeah, I don't want to see anyone hurt. So that's the danger. That's the danger. Someone's going to go way too far, and they're going to have some kind of power, and that would discredit the movement for MAGA. We don't want that either. Indie Phantom. How long before we see more non-woke movies in the mainstream, and does that happen under a Trump presidency? That's an excellent question. You know, that I've been calling for it for years. It seems way overdue. There's a new thought. It's not totally new, but there's a rumor that Ubisoft may be bought up by a company called Tencent. I think it's Tencent Interactive or something. I believe they're owned by China, or at least partially owned by China. So, the thinking, and Razorfist suggested this in the Ubisoft case, was that maybe China, that the CCP, which has worked behind the scenes to push DEI as hard as it can, spending $1 trillion in some estimation, pushing DEI to weaken America in general, but specifically to weaken a lot of its corporations, are doing it specifically to weaken those corporations enough that they can be bought, right? So you take a corporation that has, say, a decent library of games, you weaken it after a couple of woke misfires where you spend $200-300 million. They're out of money, they're out of cash, they're easily bought up, and then you have a CCP company that now can buy it up and now use its library and then come roaring back with something, you know, essentially based, but coming out of the CCP, which would never, of course, criticize China in any way, but still would be back to its roots. You know, so imagine the thing with Rockstar Games, right? The current GTA looks kind of woke. So imagine it's like way woke than we imagine, like everything else that seems to come out. And then Rockstar collapses, and then the CCP swoops in with one of its companies, like 10 cents or whatever is owned by China, buys it, and then turns around and comes out with GTA, I don't know, 7 or 8 or whatever, and it's the most badass game you ever played. And then the money just goes right into China. Now the game itself doesn't criticize China, but it's aimed at men. It's totally awesome. But now the money's rolling in for the Chinese. So that would be a disaster. I think that's the plan with Disney. It seems like that's the only logical reason why this has gone so off the rails for the Disney Corporation, that maybe they're not turning back. They're going to keep doing this until they're such a wreck. There's nothing left of Disney, and a company, at least partially controlled by the CCP, rolls in and gobbles them up. And now they control one of the biggest media companies based out of America. And they control ABC, and they control ESPN, and all the wokeness disappears overnight because now the Chinese control it. But the Chinese information, well, that's not going to be negative ever. So that, to me, makes sense. And even if they never mention China, it doesn't matter. Millions and millions of dollars will be funneled into the CCP. Now, can that work? I don't know. The CCP is having a lot of financial problems right now. But it would be scary if it did. My hope would be that they're going to push to make these companies collapse, and they collapse, but unfortunately they did too good of a job. Their IPs are now worthless, and they buy them up, but now nobody cares. Like, is anybody going to care if Star Wars comes back, even if it's good, even if Jon Favreau directs it? Like, it probably come back a little, but I think a lot of, like me, I'm not going back. I don't care. I don't care if it's good. The only way I'd go to a Star Wars movie now is if exactly how I went to the last one. A friend of mine says, "Oh, I really want to go to a Star Wars movie. Will you go with me?" And I might go, "Okay." and I went to see Solo, and I regretted every second of it. And I told my friend, "This is the dumbest movie I've ever seen. This is terrible." And we broke down the movie, and my friend agreed, and it was like, I think my friend learned an important lesson. Always listen to Tony about movies. Anyhow, I think they can, revive it, but nobody will care. Oh, JEC is back. I don't know what happened to him. Where did I leave off? Indie Phantom, Satan in the form of Twisted Sister. Non-woke movie. I mean, how long will we see a non-woke movie? We're starting to see them now. I don't think it'll be like a clear delineation until we get one that's such a mega hit. Everybody starts copying it because now, like, the dam just breaks. I don't know what that'll be. I think the guys who have right now, the guys who have an excellent chance of doing it are the Daily Wire, right? So then they have a hit that got into theaters called "Am I Racist?" They did Lady Ballers, which I think if they had released that in theaters, and I don't think it got into theaters, that could have done gangbusters, right? It was pretty funny. So if they could snowball their hit here into something really good, like a mega hit, like a comedy that makes like $500 million domestically, I think it could be the Daily Wire that saves comedy and movies, and then it's like, oh, we gotta back off the wokeness. And the studios will at first just pull back. They won't completely back off of it. They'll just pull back. But as they pull back and realize, Inside Out 2 was another movie that wasn't particularly woke. I don't think it was woke at all, from what I heard. And that made a lot of money. So I think that the rumor is they've already pulled back, but we've heard that rumor before. And Captain America 4 hasn't hit theaters yet, so that I hear could only be a dumpster fire, but we'll see. Ardent, I don't remember the last time I saw someone in person wearing a mask. Indie Phantom, Timothy Hutton was in some television a few years back and was in the Lame Brats documentary this year. Oh, weird. Tencent is full China. Oh, it's full China. Oh. LeMay, all companies in China are owned by the CCP. Yes, that is correct. If it's in China, by default, the CCP runs the show. Ardent, Tencent is wholly owned Chinese-owned company that is supposedly private, but everything is in China, belongs to the CCP, and quite a bit outside of it. Ardent, the CCP has been in a war with the West for decades. Don the Second, Chinese are some evil, smart effers. JC, Test. JC, I haven't been able to post anything this whole time, LOL. Oh, that's weird. Alex Ogle, at JC, success. I don't know why that is. Did you try to post something that got flagged like a link? Let me see if I can make it now. I can't. User. Oh, here we go. Add as moderator. It was right there all along. Okay. Okay. You're a moderator, JC. I think you can now post links. So maybe that was the problem. JC, maybe because I looked up your email? I don't think so. But now you should be able to post your link in the chat, I think. Ardent, I think there's some kind of issue afoot. I had a problem earlier with the message. Here, I'll make you a moderator too. I just figured out how to do it. There we go. Okay. See, when I learn things, I tend to go overboard. Everybody's a moderator. You're a moderator. You're a moderator. You get to be a moderator. I'm like Oprah. There it is. This is JEC's Kickstarter. So check out JEC's Kickstarter. He, of course, did Pissant Apocalypse. And now he's doing a comic called Evil. He's got fun comics. Fun stuff. Ardent? Dear gods, man, are you insane? Giving me that kind of power? Don't let it go to your head. With one click, I made you, but in another I can break you. Don the Second, geez, I was going to make the Oprah joke first. The stream, you're in a lag, so I get to make all the jokes first. All right. DC Comics All In, how writer Scott Snyder manufactured a hit comic book. Oh my God, DC had a hit comic? When did that happen? Ardent, we'll check it out later at JEC. JEC, check out my Kickstarter. I got going on Evil Comics. Mask Wrestler goes to war with a satanic cult to save his girl from being sacrificed to demons at midnight. Yeah. So that's a movie. And he draws the girl super hot, too. So that's good, too. I think there are bare boobs in that, if I'm not mistaken. Ardent, LOL, duly noted. All right, let's move on. I'm going to be here all night. Joan, I can hear Joan behind me starting to get pissed off. All right, Joker 2 stumbles. Joker 2 hit a sour note at the box office, even as it opened to number 1 with 40 million. Well, there's nothing else competing with it. So, if there had been anything up against it, it probably would have done even less. JC, yeah, there's boobs. All right. And of course, since there was an SNL episode, we now have to hear about every second of the show in Variety articles. Joan, I can't take you out right this second. Come here, stay here. Come with me. Come sit with me. Come on. Here, you want a treat? Hold on, I gotta give Joan a treat. She's chomping at the bit here for something. All right, Joan, here's your treat. I'm very sorry. I've been very busy this week. Okay, and you got a nice treat. You can relax. I'm gonna. Needed that. Ugh. Okay. Donald Glover cancels 2024 Childish Gambino tour dates after hospitalization. I have surgery scheduled and need time out to heal. Oh, that sounds bad. What the hell happened to him? Ardent. Ah, now I understand. JEC's icon. Kamala Harris to make first late night appearance as presidential nominee on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. What a snooze that'll be. You want to talk about preaching to the choir? I can't imagine anybody going to the Stephen Colbert show who isn't a total lefty. Like, I can't imagine a single mildly conservative or even an independent at this point wanting to go to his show. After what he did during the pandemic, they should take away his comedy card. I mean, they should just take it away and do something funny with it, because he obviously won't. Here's a review of Joker 2. I watched Joker 2 at an opening night IMAX screening at the Grove. The fanboys were nowhere to be found. Yeah, go F yourself. I think we can sense things. And you can watch Nerdrotic or Critical Drinker and know the score. Those guys are reliable critics. Just like me. When I bother to pay for a movie. Here is a review of I did a trailer review of this show. HBO's superhero satire. The franchise is cathartic but thin. Yeah, I kind of got a bit of sense of that just watching the trailer. It's basically, it looks like a parody of guys shooting an MCU movie, but like everybody, you know, like all the actors are terrible and egomaniacs, and the director's fighting with the crew, and just crazy Hollywood type stuff. I tend to like those shows, so I might check out the first episode. It's on HBO. Might be mildly amusing. All right, moving on to Bounding in the Comics. The Alkalite actor Jodie Turner-Smith, unhappy with Star Wars series cancellation, hopes fans stop having a stick up their A's about people of color being part of IPs that were created by white people. Well, thank you, racist person. That is absolutely not the case at all. The case is people who have made Star Wars cool and interesting, and people who want to keep plying it with messages about I don't know what at this point, how many black actors we can hire at once. I mean, look, Star Wars isn't about race. It never was about race. So Lando Calrissian is one of the biggest characters in Star Wars, and everybody liked him until you woke morons got a hold of him. Now, I mean, they were going to do a Lando TV series with Donald Glover, and that was changed to a Lando movie, which I don't think is even going to happen. I don't know why anybody would go to see it, other than they're a fan of Donald Glover, who, if they gave the movie to him, he might do okay with it, but I mean, you're beating a dead horse of a dead horse of a dead horse at this point. The Alkalite, I mean, what did you even try to do? Can you even explain your own show? I bet you couldn't. I bet if I gave you a week, you couldn't really explain it. JEC, yeah, my icon is from one of the covers of Evil. Isn't that basically one of the seasons? Courage, or you mean Entourage? Probably, yeah. Entourage did a lot of that Hollywood stuff. Oh yeah, I think they did. There was a storyline in Entourage where the guy who's the famous one, I forget his name because he really wasn't in the show all that much. He was up for the part of Aquaman. This was way before the franchise things were started. Because, like, they would make fake movie references in the show, and you didn't want one that was actually going to happen, so Aquaman movie was never going to happen. But then there was buzz around Hollywood, of course, because Entourage was so popular that it might happen, but it never happened. Anything else here? Geez, I've been out for, feels like almost the entire week, and there's hardly any news here. The Rings of Power showrunners defend Gandalf reveal. If there's any way we can justify him being around, it's just too tempting to not go there. LeMay, lesbian space witches and the Jedi are evil. Yeah, I mean, that's basically the show. You know, the show set out to discredit what fans liked, and they can't believe, and they blame racism. I mean, like, it's such a deep non-understanding of something. It's like you make a cake. It's like these people said, "Oh, we're gonna make the cake for you for your birthday," and they go into the kitchen and I don't know, they pour some water into a tray, put it in the freezer, freeze it, put it on a plate, and hand it to you, and you go, "Oh, this isn't a cake. What the hell is this?" And they turn to you and go, "Oh, you must hate women." Like, no, you obviously don't know what a cake is. This isn't a cake. This is ice. Oh my God, I can't believe you're still talking to us. You must hate women. No, I don't hate women. You've made ice. Like, this is how, I mean, there's just such a huge disconnect with these people. Part of it is, I think some of them are contractually obligated to say certain things, and they couldn't say things like, "Oh yeah, I worked on that show. It's effing terrible." Like, they couldn't say that with their NDAs or whatnot. So they're still being interviewed. Their careers are on the line. They're trying to get other work. The other people in Hollywood still believe a lot of this DEI happy horse crap. Well, you might as well say something crazy like that because, hey, maybe somebody will feel sorry for you in the casting office of that new TV show. I don't know, Abbott Elementary or something, and cast you in that. Ardent. Star Wars is pro-Jedi propaganda. Good guy Sidious did nothing wrong. JEC. Nothing to talk about besides Joker sucking and losing hundreds of millions of dollars. Last week, the only thing to talk about was Megalopolis sucking and losing hundreds of millions. No, the Rings of Power is still sucking and desperately trying to keep up with all the sucking. In fact, this is probably the suckiest line yet I've heard that came out of the Rings of Power. The line went something like, they have the Harfoots in the show, who are the short ones, and they look up at Gandalf and call him, now they don't say his name at all throughout the show, right? You don't know who this guy is. He's obviously Gandalf, but they never say his name. But one of the Harfoots refers to him as a grand elf. And, like, the implication in the show was this was the origin of Gandalf. Grand elf. Get it? So that is, I mean, that was like, I heard that and I was just like, holy F. That's like, you guys are masters at, like, the worst possible writing people could think of. I mean, you have to, I think, study at the suckiest schools in the world to suck that badly. Indie Phantom. Joker 2 is causing people to reevaluate Madam Web. JC, we need to figure out how to quantify this suckage so we can rank what sucks the most. Indie Phantom. Need to do worst sequels next week as a topic. Oh boy. What am I doing? Let me see my schedule next week. Oh, I got to go to an iHeart horror thing. That's going to be some driving. I'll try. I'll try to be ready for that. I don't know. That's going to be a tough one. Ardent. Well, that's one way to create nerd rage. JEC. That's the kind of line one would make Tolkien happy he was dead. Alex Ogle. Is Hollywood striving to see at what point they can get? Oh, at what point they can get the audience to realize they embody the Bart Simpson line, I didn't think it was possible, but this is both sucks and blows. Sorry, yeah, I got stuck on that word. Again, what I think is it's a combination of, incompetence, maliciousness, and arrogance, and the CCP. Understand, and I wish I could remember this article, but it was a while ago. But the article stated that the CCP has at least estimated 1.1 million spies in the West, in government and corporate levels, and I would be shocked if there wasn't CCP guys at Amazon pushing this. And when I mean CCP guys, I don't necessarily mean Chinese nationals who have emigrated here. I mean people who are essentially working for the CCP, but they either don't know it, or they sort of know it, but they don't want to admit it to themselves, or they're being blackmailed or whatever. Or they're just true believers in communism and whatever. Indie Phantom. Or sequels that deviate too much from the first film in suckage, like Arthur 2 and Caddyshack 2. JEC, basically every Chinese immigrant. Well, China does suck. So I assume there are several Chinese immigrants who are just glad they're out of China. Like the one running for congresswoman, her name's Z. And man, she blasts people on Twitter. She's like super anti-communist. But she's been here a while, I think. So I could imagine, somewhere at Amazon in the corporate level, corporate structure somewhere, there's a CCP guy or girl or whoever, maybe a couple of them, and they're pushing the DEI thing as hard as they can. Look at the woman who was in Kathy Hochul's office. She was the DEI officer, right? She was the DEI officer, and she pushed all kinds of crazy schemes to Kathy Hochul. And she had to come out and claim like she didn't know what was going on or whatever. How stupid Kathy Hochul is. Kathy Hochul shouldn't be in charge of a shopping cart. Moron. You idiots in New York elected Kathy Hochul. Remember that when you go to the polls, you morons. If you can remember how to breathe and walk to the polls. The same people who wouldn't elect Curtis Sliwa, the living embodiment of Batman, the guy who created the Guardian Angels and actually went on the street to fight crime. Oh no, let's not elect him. Let's not elect a guy who fought crime in a city rife with crime. To literally have elected Batman. Anyhow, you can imagine DEI officers just pushing and pushing and pushing as hard as they can, and people who are just too petrified. Oh, I don't want to lose my career. I don't want to lose my career. Yes, I'll do anything you say. Yes, no, we need more women and everything. JEC, basically every Chinese immigrant. Oh, I said that one. LeMay, little pinks. I don't know. Is that a good term? Should I be saying that term? Ardent, Curtis Sliwa was one of my inspirations as a kid. Great example of positive masculinity. That was Ardent. Yes. I never heard a scandal about him. Never heard a scandal about him once. Let's see what the Hollywood Reporter is doing. Fans say Joker 2 ending was a betrayal, but was it actually its finest moment? See, this is how you know the movie sucks. Hollywood Reporter's loving it. They're loving it. So maybe from the beginning they set out to say F you to the incels, and I don't know. Todd Phillips was okay with it because he gets $20 million and he gets, I don't owe these people anything. And he doesn't technically, but what's this going to do to his career moving on? I don't know. What did The Hangover 2 and 3 do to his career? Kind of nothing. So, Ardent, YouTube just reset my video feed to 360p for some reason. Does that make me faster or slower or more handsome? Stuff about The Walking Dead. How is that show still on? Sean Diddy Combs' mother defends music mogul amid sex crime allegations. My son is not the monster they have painted him to be. Well, look, I feel bad for her. She obviously didn't want this. But, you know, we're not exactly truthful to moms, you know, about that kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure Sean Diddy Combs wouldn't tell his mom about the crazy sex parties he was having, even if they were legit sex parties, so to speak. Ardent, it made you look like I've been drinking. So handsome. LeMay, it means aggressive Chinese nationalist. Oh. Is that... Oh, never heard that term. Indie Phantom. There are like 4 Walking Dead series on right now. Still? That show... Oh, man. Don't get me started on The Walking Dead. I bailed. I'm done with The Walking Dead. Oh, Alex got a message retracted for some reason. Ardent, LOL. No, not that much. Not that much. Ha ha. Oh, look at Mrs. Diddy. She looks pretty young for having a son that old. Alex Ogle, Walking Dead is still a thing. Does it still have Egg in it? I don't know. I don't remember Egg. Was that a character? Wild Robot director on bringing out Pedro Pascal's playful side in voicing live-action Lilo and Stitch. Ugh. There's a guy I'm really sick of, is Pedro Pascal. I'm so sick of him. I just can't wait until he's done. I just kind of just... Like Samuel L. Jackson I liked for a long time before I got sick of him, but like Pedro Pascal, I was almost sick of him the moment he entered the consciousness. Oh, look, Jussie Smollett's back in the news. Jussie Smollett says he spent $3 million fighting hoax case. I don't want to have a felony on my record for something I didn't do. Can you believe this guy? Okay. I guess he's just going to spend his money until it's all gone. Alright. More on SNL spoofing things. Who cares? LeMay, I would recommend watching It Might Break Your Pinky Heart. Ardent, wait, what? Celine Dion and the NFL does not compute. Oh, I don't even want to know. What? I passed that one. Ardent, hashtag justice for Juicy. I don't know. Celine Dion has... I feel bad for her because she's got some crazy condition that's hurting her career. Alex Ogle. Andrew Lincoln started his career on British TV's This Life as the character Egg. Oh, I thought it was... I thought it was still a thing on The Walking Dead I missed somehow. All right, let's move forward. What the heck's next? Let's see. We did Bounding. We did... we did Bleeding Fool. There we go. Ardent. LOL. So, a soap opera? JC. Bro, we know you're a liar. Just stop lying. We know you're lying. Yeah, I mean, like, Jussie Smollett just... He can't give up the ghost for some reason. Sherlock producers say Benedict Cumberbatch likely to return to role. Huh. That was a pretty decent show. I watched it. I think Disney's Agatha looked like a dud all along. Yeah. the next Scream sequel to arrive in cinemas in February, everyone. Oh boy. No interest in that. Should comic readers acknowledge Bruce Wayne's Jewish ancestry? I don't remember reading that in Batman. I mean, not sure what it matters. I mean, I know Superman was created by two Jewish guys, and so they kind of imply he's Jewish by default, but it's like, that's not really part of the comic. So let's not go down these weird roads. Alex Ogle, please, no more Sherlock. Jeremy Brett was the last incarnation of note. Ardent, say what now? Batman? I guess. I don't know. There's probably some storyline or whatever. Oh, here we go. Indie Comics Showcase. Mega Man Alpha Red. All right. Okay. Alpha Red. I guess there's a MAGA cover. Yeah, seems fine, I guess. Superhero stuff. Punching dudes and robots and such. JEC. Bob Kane was Jewish. Oh. Ardent. So sorry, Batmensch. Oh, I thought they meant the character. Yeah, I guess they're kind of implying that. Again, I don't see why you're gonna bring that in. I mean, it's just not something that's part of the story, typically, anyway. So, all right. So we do Deadline. There's probably nothing here. The Penguin, all about blah 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 blah. Penguin's doing well. I won't read that whole headline. A lot of people are saying good stuff about that. I'm not really up for a, another not Batman show, as you know. Ardent, looks like Captain Canada reskinned. Journalism. Indie Phantom, it means no more Cumberbatch movies. I endorse his return to Holmes. Yeah, I thought it was fine. I mean, it was modern Holmes. I don't know. Maybe it'll get tiresome after a while, but some of it was fine. Oh, here it is. Celine Dion kicks off Sunday Night Football with Gatorade-soaked surprise appearance. Well, I think they're trying to rebrand NFL for women. And I have to tell you, I know some women who have not too long ago, they weren't sports fans at all, and now they're suddenly sports fans. Not because of Travis, Kelce, and Taylor Swift or this chick, but I don't know, maybe some other reasons. But sure, go ahead. You could try to make that for women too, I guess. But eventually men will just leave it and we'll start a new man cave with another football team or whatever. But again, some women already liked sports, but they liked it for what it was. They didn't like it for you to soften it up so everybody could be in on it. But I mean, sports is the kind of thing that's usually fairly open to anybody who likes sports. So me, I find it a total snooze fest. Alex Ogle, Batman. That's right. Indie Phantom started the Penguin series and fell asleep multiple times. Nothing special, but did like the seedier Gotham take. Yeah, I might watch an episode if I ever get. I'm not getting time this month. Smartless podcast snags Tim Wall's interview. Yeah, he sounds pretty smartless if you ask me. So sure. Yeah, knock yourself out, whoever runs that podcast. Wow, you really snagged one, huh? Really snagged. Guy running for office, yeah, he probably was way too busy for you guys, but sure. Really snagged that. Indie Phantom used to enjoy some hockey, but turned my back on it when Don Cherry was fired. It was boring and getting woke as F. Yeah, I think that's the way to get these people back in line. It's just pull the plug on it. A lot of people are just too lazy to do it. They want something to watch. They're stuck. I mean, it took me a while to get unstuck from television. I was like, man, I was a regular TV guy, but now I can't even imagine going back to it. I can't. I very rarely watch TV or movies, really, anymore. I watch them with other people who watch them, really. Or unless there's something really, really good on. Like, my bar is just so high now. I don't want to waste my time with anything stupid. But, you know, I get it. I was a 9-to-5-er, and I'd come home, and I'd just be tired, and I'd want to zone out with something and just eat my food. I get it, but a lot of it's just crap. JEC, that media darling that has stolen America's heart. Tim Walz, what a get. Alex Ogle at Indie Phantom. The TV up here was itching to fire Cherry to get the old guard out and fresh woke faces at lower salaries. Yeah, like, I don't know how anybody can watch ESPN seriously. I hear that's still woke as F. And I remember for a short time I was working at this place, and they would have ESPN on constantly, and I would walk by the TV and I would hear the dumbest statements. Like, you know, you walk by the TV and there's a sports thing on, you just expect to hear like, oh yeah, it was a great game, I think he gave 110%, or a terrible game, terrible coaching, or whatever. Like, you never expect to walk by the TV and hear something like, well, really, the implications for people of color in this football game are pretty ominous. Like, you hear something like that and you're like, what the F are you watching? Let's see. Oops. Well, I messed that up. Indie Phantom, yes, Alex, and such a DEI fail. All right. SEAL team leaves door open for more in series. I don't know. I didn't see that. Let's go to Cosmic Book News. And where are the racist Star Wars fans claimed by Jodie Turner-Smith and Glamour Mag? They're nowhere. This is more, you know what this is at this point? It's conspiracy theories for women. Okay? It's conspiracy theories for women, woke women, who sit around and want to feel good about themselves and talk about how, oh yes, there are many racists. Oh, I'm so glad we're not racist. Oh no, we're not. And then talk about how, like, they avoid certain things or won't talk to certain people or won't do certain things. And that is a small group of women. But they're very intimidating, I think. JEC, I mean, my God, Tim Walz, he's so handsome and charismatic. Everyone wants a piece of him. Yeah, and he's so not weird at all and doesn't look like a pedo. Bleach Demon, a good stream to drive back from Tennessee with. Oh my God, are you okay? You're not in the bad part of Tennessee that flooded, right? Did Tennessee flood too? Was that close enough to the devastation? Were you driving in supplies for people in North Carolina area? Bleach Demon? LeMay, The People of the Dragon by Namwi and Winnie the Pooh is very good too. I learned a lot about CCP meme and slang. Plus it was funny. Alex Ogle at LeMay, a book or a video? Is Joker 2 from DC Studios? James Gunn answers. I doubt it, but who cares if it is? I don't think you're going to get another one, but who knows? Joker director Todd Phillips is done with DC. Probably for the best. Ardent, hey Bleach, got a long drive? It's been a longish stream. Oh God, it has. It's already 10:30. I gotta wrap this up. LeMay at Alex Ogle. It was a music video. Oh, I have to check that out. Let's see. Green Lantern TV series gets director James Hawes. I mean, I guess if I don't know if Damon Lindelof is involved, I am out. Couldn't be more out. Not interested. Ardent. Or he started later than usual, and I didn't realize. No, I got home. I went to Lucille's luncheonette today from 10 to 2, and then I went to my brother's for a family dinner, and that lasted until, well, I could have stayed, but I knew I had to get back for the stream, so I left at 6. It takes about 40 minutes to drive from my brother's. I got here at about 10 minutes of. So I rushed in the house. I still have to unload from Lucille's luncheonette. I still have to walk Joan and probably eat something. And so, like, I literally just sat down. I turned on the stream and got it rolling. So I had no time to promote or anything. So sorry about that. Bleach Demon. I went down to check on family down there. Yeah, they got whacked a bit. All safe there. Only 2-ish hours left. Oh, okay. Well, good for you for checking on family. You got to check on family. Family is the only unbroken bond. For most. There's some exceptions, and I feel bad for people like that, but you can find other family, I'm sure. But at LeMay, Alex Ola at LeMay, just found it. Ardent, hope all are well at Bleach Demon. JEC, how in God's name did they get that snag? Tim effing Waltz, God among men. Tim Waltz, why do they get to talk to Tim Waltz and not me? I know. Alex Ogle, a DiGerolamo family dinner. How many hits were authorized? Hey, that is a racist stereotype, and I will not stand for it. Not many this dinner. Ardent, LOL. I'm wondering if Tim Waltz might not come on my own show, on my show now. Maybe. I would totally interview Tim Waltz. I would friggin' wreck him. I wouldn't even talk so much about politics. I would just ask him stupid questions. I'd ask him pop culture questions that I knew he couldn't answer. And I'd just be like, well, what do you watch, Tim? Do you watch anything? Are you crazy? Do you not watch TV? Oh, I don't have time for TV. You don't have time for anything, for movies? Don't you know anything about this nation, Tim? Ardent, yeah. He's have your use whacked at Alex Ogle. Let's see. Rachel Zegler reveals new Snow White origin for Disney movie. Oh, it's not going to be she's a empowered woman who don't need no man. Rachel, you babbling moron. JC, you stay away from Tim Waltz. He's mine. Ardent, LOL, just hammer him with deep cut trivia. Ooh, yeah, that's a good idea. Welcome Logan Kim to the MCU. I don't know who that is. Joker 2 box office bombing worse than the Marvels. Wow. I'm losing my voice. I'm going to have to end this. Alex Ogle, I trust you had extra pineapple for your pizza pie, and everyone greeted each other with, hey, how you doing? Listen, I can take a lot of jokes, but pineapple on pizza is no joke. Kids, don't do drugs and do not put pineapple on pizza. It's very important. It's wrong. Ardent, I call absentee father. Bleach Demon, Ardent. Next Valley over was completely wrecked, though. Won't say more. Wildly awful. Oh, that's terrible. Well, good for you for checking on family. I hope you did as much as you could while you were there. JEC, I forgot about the Marvels. Bleach Demon, JEC, the question is, does he give you a bouquet of tampons? Well, that means he loves you. Ardent, at Bleach Demon, yeah, hurricane are crazy. We got hit about once a year up here. Indie Phantom, worse than the Marvels. Damn. Ardent. Friends don't let friends put pineapple on pizza. That's true. But briefly, and then I gotta wrap this up. The Marvels at least had Captain Marvel's coattails to ride upon. So, yeah, I mean, that's... I think someone said it was tracking worse than Morbius at one point, but seems to have come up from that. Anyhow, let's all say what we learned. We learned a lot on this live stream. Holy cow. Holy cow. I know we learned some stuff about women, which I've already forgotten because I don't listen to women. We learned a lot about the current state of movies, especially Joker 2 being the current state of movies. That it's all pretty terrible. Pretty terrible. We learned that most of the movies that are doing any kind of business at all are just reboots or remakes of old movies that were hits once, and they're a shadow of a shadow of a shadow. And even many of them weren't really original movies to begin with. And back in the 80s and 90s, we complained about them, that they weren't that original. They could be more original, that they should have been better and more original. Believe it or not, we complained. I remember when we were complaining about Return of the Jedi in 1983. Yeah, I didn't like those little Ewoks are too cute. They should have had a different alien. JEC, I learned to back evil comics on Kickstarter, and JEC has provided the link there. Ardent, so back JEC's comic if you have it. Ardent, okay, this week we learned that day shift strippers versus zombies might be the vehicle that propels Sydney Sweeney into actual stardom. Bleach Demon, the only lesson I learned is pineapple and tampons are marvelous. Alex Ogle, I learned that we need to keep my expectations low, but I will still go to see Joker 2. Indie Phantom, we learned French. Folly's Adieu is basically doing a number 2. Ardent, we learned that there is a wealth of wisdom to be had if one simply asks for it. Dead Souls, hope you're okay. Yes, Dead Souls, I hope this was a positive and fun stream for you, especially since you were having a rough day. So I hope you come out of your funk or whatever you want to call it better and more positive. So get out there, as Sticks and Hammer says, improve yourself. Try to find hobbies, and don't worry if I was saying to somebody the other day who she was bragging how I tried to do 50 sit-ups the other day, and I was like, well, how many do you normally do? And she was like 20, and I was like, well, that's kind of a big leap. And I said what I did when I was exercising. I don't really do too much exercise. I consider my emptying my car of boxes every other day my exercise. But when I was trying to exercise, the way I started was I just did 1 push-up and 1 sit-up, and the next day I did 2, and the next day I did 3, and the next day I did 4, and I just kept going up like that. Every single day I just add 1. And at first it's ridiculous, but if you keep at it, it actually works pretty good, because you ramp up so slowly you barely notice, and by the time you get to like 25, you're like, hey, I'm doing 25 push-ups and 25 sit-ups every day now, and I'm doing them very efficiently, right? So you set your goals low, make your goals, and then add to them each day, a little bit every day. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with but 1 step. Ardent, Folie Adieu. JEC, Folie Adieu means madness for 2. Alex, I learnt that Guillermo del Toro is a horrid little communist and should have kept his filthy myths off Tolkien's work. Is he a communist too? God, they just keep popping up everywhere. I think a lot of these people are, of course, champagne communists. Like, the moment they have to do anything, or the moment actual communism kicked in, they'd crawl into a ball and cry until they got sent to the gulag or put against a wall. But you know, it's just a shame that it's so in vogue in some of these Hollywood circles. Ardent, I learned that midnight is too late for me. I'm going to bed immediately after this. Yeah, I might do the same thing over here, but I got some stuff to do first. So thanks everybody for tuning in tonight for the live stream, which went, oh my God, 3.5 hours. Well, I felt I owed you a little bit of a extra since I was kind of lazy this week. So thanks for tuning in. Oh wait, got one more. Ardent, champagne socialists, the rich pampered EFFs that think they'll be like the party. Yeah, exactly. The last people who will be in the party. Alex Ogle, I had 2 beers yesterday and I am on my second one today. I am on my way to self-improvement. Bravo, bravo. Oh, and what am I on my way to? Well, tomorrow I'm going to, I forget the name of the place, but it's in Matawan, New Jersey for a senior event where I will be talking to the seniors about the Jersey Devil. Indie Phantom later on. Alex Ogle, good night, Tony, and all, and Little Joan. Indie Phantom later on. On Wednesday, I have to go to my page. I can't read anything. Yeah, so Monday, Ardent says later. Monday, I will be at the Village of the Meadowbrook in Matawan, New Jersey. Wednesday, I'm at the South County Library or Winslow Library in Atco. Thursday, I'm at the Manchester branch of the Ocean County Library in Manchester, New Jersey. The 11th, I'm at Dragonflight Night Market in Bridgeton, New Jersey at 7. On Friday, that's Saturday, isn't it? I think it's Saturday. Yeah, I'm at Saturday. It's at the Scary Book Fest, and Sunday I'm at the I Heart Horror Ice Cream Monster Truck or Treat in Matawan again, 6 to 9. Oh, okay. So next week I'm not sure when I'm going to do the live stream. So I'll be there. Might have to do a different time for the live stream next week. So keep in mind for that. Bleach Demon says, night, great stream. Alex Ogle, have a great week all. Ardent, oh, I also learned that buying the entire series of the Pineys was way cheaper than I expected. Awesome. Thank you so much again for that, Ardent. I really do appreciate it. Good night, everybody.